that we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets reached clear the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Leslie. Beautifully done. Riding in the red Zimmer show car with Mr. Tim Flock will be the president of R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. Start your engines!
The call has just gone. They have fired the engines here on pit road as we get ready for the 23rd.
Attention, please. Jackie Horton, call extension 208. Eleanor Gordon, Plow, go to the security trailer. Attention on pit row. If you do not have pit row credentials, please clear pit row. Only those with credentials are allowed on pit road. If you don't have credentials, clear the pit area. Attention, please. The son of Mr. Stacy, please go back to the VIP suite.
As the heat coming down here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Grand National Guard, well, they take in more air through the side windows that will cool the drivers. And we do have a nice northwesterly breeze coming across the speedway today. Also, one note, Donnie Allison fans, he will top the $1 million earnings bar today just by starting the race. Back to the tower.
Pace car is rolling down pit road and the field for the 23rd running of the World 600.
This is it. Day 20 of the great 20 days in May. The 23rd running of the World 600.
South Carolina, the Palatine Auto Parts Buick, and car number 41, J.D. McDuffie, San Francisco, Max Store, 20th row, starting in the 40th position, car number 32,
Ohio, the Shoney's Buick.
Row number 17, originally out of San Diego, California, comes DKO. And flanking him on the inside, car number 17, Lake Speed, the former world karting champion from Jackson, Mississippi, in the Yazoo Moore's Buick.
Row 16, 32nd starting position. Car number 40 from Florence, South Carolina, Slick Johnson, the Turbo Sales Service Buick. 31st on the field this afternoon, car number 62 from Bartow, Florida, the Wilson Racing Buick, Rick Wilson.
In the 30th starting position comes car number 26. And from Virginia, in the Food Country USA Chevrolet, Brad P. Inside of him, from Houston, Texas, H.D. Bailey in the Almeida Auto Parts Pontiac number 36.
28th starting position, car number 4 from Johnson City, Tennessee. From Mitchell Tire Oldsmobile will be Connie Saylor. Going 27, car number 67 in a Dodge from Martinsville, Virginia, the Jim Hill Racing Dodge at Buddy Arrington.
Falmouth Tower to Savannah, Georgia, starts 26 and number 0, the Coastal Transmission Buick. Kyle Petty, Vic STP Pontiac Wise 25th, number 42.
Going 24th, car number 77, Dean Combs of nearby North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, the People's Car. 23rd will be car number 72, a youngster to watch, Rusty Wallace of Valley Park, Missouri.
The 1970 winner of this event from Hueytown, Alabama, back after that terrible crash here 1 year ago in the Simonized Super Poly Buick, Donnie Allison in the 37, and beside him, the 195-time winner in Grand National Racing from Randall, North Carolina, the STP Pontiac, for Richard Petty.
Going 20th, row 10. He is ailing today after crashing his sportsman car into the wall here on Friday afternoon. He may have a pinched nerve in his neck. Car number 90, Jody Ridley, Chatsworth, Georgia, the J.D. Stacy Ford. 19th will be car number 2, Mooresville, North Carolina driver, the J.D. Stacy Buick, Tim Richmond.
3/4 of a lap, and they will be racing. 02, Mark Martin comes from New Albany, Indiana, the Apache Store Pontiac 18th, and 47, Ron Bouchard, the Stacy Buick is 17th.
16th.
Your attention, please, in the front grandstand area. Everyone behind the yellow line. Everyone back behind the yellow line there on the pavement behind the front stretch fence. Please be behind the yellow line.
Marcus, Scotland, North Carolina, 11th, car number 75, Joe Rutman of Charlotte.
In the 5th row, it's Ricky Rudd of Chesapeake, Virginia, number 3, and the 71 and 81 winner of this event, Bobby Allison, as they hit turn 3.
Going 8th, car number 28, Benny Parsons of Ellaby, North Carolina, the J.D. Stacy Pontiac. 7th is car number 44, Terry Labonte of Archdale, North Carolina, in the Stacy Stratograph Chevrolet.
Row 3 will be Darrell Waltrip in the number 11 Mountain Dew car and Cale Yarborough in the 27. Then in row 2, it's Harry Gant and Jeff Bodine. And up in front, the 3-time winners, Buddy Baker in number 1, the Uno car and the Chattanooga Chew Buick as they come down out of turn number 4. And ladies and gentlemen, the green flag is about to go.
Kelly Savanas, Kojak has waved the green, and this crowd of 130,000 is on its feet. Pearson is on the point. He'll take the lead there in 1.
And as they go into turn number 1, you have out in front, of course, the number 03, the pole position winner, David Pearson. The Uno Buick is right behind him at Buddy Baker. They crash off the number 2 turn. A tight 6-car race right at the start.
And it looks like Harry Gant making his bid. He's up in the number 3 spot now. Car number 33, the Skull Bandit. He's trying to move around. Here comes Cale Yarborough, working real strong along with Darrell Waltrip. They're side by side, battling for the 4th position.
Coming out of turn number 4 and down to complete lap number 1. The leader is David Pearson, dead heat. Gant on the inside, Baker on the outside for 2nd, and back in 4th as they struggle into the turn, Jeff Bodine.
And as they continue to battle it out here in the 2nd lap of this race, here comes the Skull Bandit charging up on David Pearson. They go down off the number 2 turn down the back stretch, and there goes Gant.
Harry Gant got on the inside of Pearson. He's got it up alongside the door now. He's side by side. Coming on strong is Buddy Baker. He's back in 3rd spot, but it's the battle up front, and it's the Skull Bandit out in front.
Gant brings him back to the line. Right behind him is Pearson. Baker runs 3rd. Waltrip and Bodine in a dead heat for 4th.
Cale Yarborough is in 6th. Labonte is in 7th. Allison is in 8th.
And as Harry Gant still in the lead, beginning to pull away now with about a 4 or 5 car length lead over the Uno Buick of Buddy Baker, car number 1. And Pearson is back in 3rd. Waltrip is in 4th position down the back stretch.
Pearson holding on strong into that 3rd position up front, though. Harry Gant really moving as he pulls away 4th. Car length of front of Buddy Baker.
Coming out of turn 4, James Hilton is the first car to pit. He has been in. He's coming back on the track. As they come around to complete lap number 3, it will be Gant in front, Baker in 2nd, Pearson in 3rd, running 4th is Waltrip, Bodine is in 5th, and running 6th is Cale Yarborough.
And then comes Terry Labonte. And then as we look down the list of cars as they continue to keep it tight, Bobby Allison's Gator A Dryguard automobile is up there holding very closely now. He's in the 7th position.
17 cars tied together, then a little break before comes another 5 or 6 cars, but out in front, the guy who was out in front most of the day yesterday, Harry Gant.
One car fading high up next to the wall, tries to gather it down in front of Dale Earnhardt. The rest of the field scrambles as they come back to the tri-oval.
As they cross the stripe, running back in the 10th position is Neil Bonnet. Just in front of him is Dave Marcus, and Bonnet is making a challenge for 9th as they go to turn 1.
And down through turn number 1 as we see the lead car still very strong now, and seemingly holding the strong power, Harry Gant. Gant of the Skull Bandit running away.
Back in about the 7th position. We've got battles all up and down the pile. Here comes Cale Yarborough in strong into the 6th position as he moves out of a pack of cars.
Jimmy Means pits his automobile. 5 laps have been completed, and out in front, it's the Skull Bandit with Harry Gant. He leads by 5 car lengths. He can run, but he can't hide out here today. In that second spot remains the car number 1 of Buddy Baker.
Are you the guy that can identify any sound in the whole world?
Absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay, now what's this?
Your attention, please. Dewey Mooney, please call extension 238. Dewey Mooney, please call extension 238. Caution on the Speedway. Problems up in turns 1 and 2. Harold Kinder unfurls the caution flag for the first time this afternoon here in the World 600 on lap number 6. Caution. A couple of cars coming together up in turns 1 and 2.
Here's 7-time NASCAR champion Richard Petty. You know, when you're out there on the track getting everything you can out of a car, the last thing you need is a headache. That's why I always keep Goody's Extra Strength tablets handy. Read the label. Goody's Extra Strength tablets.
3 cars involved. One was the car number 40 of Slick Johnson. And the caution up in turns 1 and 2. Slick Johnson driving the car number 40, the Turbo Sales and Service Buick. Likewise, the car number 77 back underway. That's the young driver out of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, Dean Combs. The People's Car R.L. Monroe Buick. And also 1 car involved momentarily, the car number 0 of Delma Cowart. Those are the 3 cars involved up in turns 1 and 2. First caution flag of the afternoon here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're working lap number 7. Your leader, Harry Gant.
Just off the number 1 turn down into the grassy area down on the apron. There was no real severe damage, though, but both of the cars did get tangled up together as several actually collided at one time. Seems to have been a blown tire. That's what caught my attention.
We have 4 automobiles being claimed in the incident now. The number 0 car, Delma Cowart of Savannah, Georgia, the Coastal Transmission Buick. The Johnny Anderson car, number 19, as he tries to gather his career back up after that terrible crash at Daytona a year ago. Johnny Anderson today, and the car number 19, the Henley Gray machine, and the number 40, Slick Johnson, as well as number 6, D.K. Ulrich, were all in the altercation at turn number 2 that has brought out the first caution of the day as they were working the 6th lap. We are now in lap number 8. After 8 laps, it's Harry Gant and the Skoal Bandit in the lead. This is the Performance Racing Network.
Well, they're working 8 laps here in the World 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And 1 car down pit road, the car number 52. That's Jimmy Means out of Forest City, North Carolina, the Broadway Motors Buick. That would be an unscheduled stop for Jimmy Means. And earlier on pit road, on the first lap of the race, James Hilton, who was starting in provisional spot number 42. Hilton out of Edmond, South Carolina, in the Palatine Auto Parts Buick.
Jerry, looks like Harry Gant, right at the beginning, is still got a lot left over from yesterday afternoon when he put on such a spectacular show and just had the track to himself almost in the 300 yesterday. And there he is out in front again, and he's already $500 richer because he was in the lead lap in lap number 7.
Well, you heard Hal Needham tell Slick Johnson down in Victory Lane yesterday when Harry Gant took the honors in the Mellow Yellow 300 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's make it a sweep, he said, for the Skoal Bandit Buick today. Yesterday, Harry Gant running so well in the Skoal Bandit Pontiac, the short track car, or rather the sportsman car for the super speedways, and Gant dominating the sportsman competition. Likewise, this afternoon, Gant is leading the field here at Charlotte Motor Speedway on lap number 8 of the World 600.
An off again, on again period throughout the first part of this race. He's back on the track after having to pit another time. The field moves to turn number 3. Here's Hal Hamrick.
And they're single file here, as of course the NASCAR rules concerning an accident or a caution in the early parts of the race. All of the cars are single file. They're now watching the pace car quickly go down pit road, and of course they're waiting for Harry Gant to see that signal from the flagman, and Harry Gant stands on it as he moves out of the 4th turn.
Here they come. Back to the triangle. Gant. Baker go up through the gearbox, off the binders, and into the throttle. They're on their way as they shuffle back down into turn number 1. It will be Gant out front.
And he has to go into turn number 1. Harry Gant pulls out to a 2-car length advantage. It is Gant running in first. Buddy Baker is in second. David Pearson maintaining third. They shuffle further back as Cale Yarborough goes into 4th. Here comes Bobby Allison pulling up. He goes to 5th. Waltrip falling to 6th. Bodine is in 7th. And it is Labaudy in 8th.
A little smoke coming out of the Bobby Allison car as he got started a moment ago. We'll check him this time by. Possibly still a little smoke. Maybe the car got loaded up a little bit as he was going, but he looks like he's running okay now. But there goes Dale Waltrip down pit road.
Waltrip is on pit row, and we do not know what's wrong. He backed out of the throttle.
Let's go to Chuck Young.
Gary Nelson, crew chief, is talking to Bobby, and we're going to try to get a word. Norman, what's your problem as you wait on Bobby?
I don't know right now.
They don't even know, so we'll stand by. Waltrip has just come in and gone back out. We'll stand by here and get...
Attention, please. Dina Pettigrew, please call extension 219 immediately.
The car and send him back into action. Baker is challenging Gant for first place at turn 1.
And he has the slight advantage. He swings to the top side, near the wall. But now here comes Gant again, nosing in front of him. They go up the number 2 turn. It's nearly a dead heat. Now again, it's Baker throwing out front down the backstretch.
5 cars tied together going down that back straightaway. Baker's out in front. Here comes Cale Yarborough on the inside. He's trying to get around. Also David Pearson in there. And here's Bobby Allison on the lower side. He was 5th. He's up to 4th now, but it's still Baker out in front.
5 cars tight together running for first place, and it is the red and white car of Buddy Baker leading at the end of lap number 18, going back into turn 1. Gant falls into second place, drafting to the low side of the track.
And running at third place is David Pearson with the Valvoline machine. That's driven by Cale Yarborough, now challenging for third. Here goes Cale Yarborough alongside David Pearson, takes the advantage. There's a draft right behind him as Bobby Allison, as they take advantage of it. Cale Yarborough is now in third place, and Bobby Allison is 4th in turn number 4.
And David Pearson's drop kick back to 5th place. Here comes Allison again. He's challenging for the 3rd spot.
Report is that Darrell Waltrip cut a tire down. That was the reason for his pit stop. Here comes Bobby Allison battling Cale side by side as they complete the 18th lap of the World 600.
Hi, I'm Charlie Daniels. I tour about 100,000 miles a year with the...
Challenge for the lead over in turn 3. Harry Gant goes downstairs in turn 3, takes the lead from Buddy Baker. Gant showing the way here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The 711 Skoll Buick leads the way in turn 4. Harry Gant, your leader. Buddy Baker rides second, and Bobby Allison takes the Gatorade car downstairs, makes a move on the inside, falls back in line behind Baker down in turn 1. Front 4 cars, those to tail that in turns 1 and 2. They exit the south banking of the Speedway. Now, Bobby Allison moves to the inside of Buddy Baker down the backstretch. Allison and Baker are door-to-door in turn 3. And Bobby Allison moves inside. Baker takes second spot. He cranks Baker back to 3rd, and Cale Yarborough rides 4th.
Country.
Showing 21 laps in the books here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 400 laps comprise the World 600. Your leader, Harry Gant, the car number 33, the Skoll Bandit Buick. Being pursued, 3 car length separation back to Bobby Allison, and then about a 2-second separation back to Buddy Baker and Cale Yarborough. Here's a move for the lead on the front stretch in the dog leg. Bobby Allison goes beneath Harry Gant, takes the lead, and Allison puts the Gatorade colors up front. Bobby Allison, fresh from a victory in Dover, Delaware, at the Dover Downs International Raceway in the Mason-Dixon 500. So Allison will lead on lap number 21, but Harry Gant will try to make his move in turn 3. Leaders work the north banking of the Speedway in turns 3 and 4. A 2-car draft of Harry Gant and Bobby Allison beginning to pull away somewhat, beginning to put some distance on the field on the 3rd and 4th place cars of Baker and Yarborough. And now Cale Yarborough pushes a Valvoline Buick up high in turn 2 and will take the high road around Baker down the backstretch. Yarborough goes past Buddy Baker in turn 3. Leaders moving up on the car number 31. That's the Clement Buick of Bosco Lowe, the car owned by Dr. Bob Jarvis, and they're moving in on Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip, an early unscheduled pit stop in the Mountain Dew Buick for a cut right tire, and Waltrip trying to keep from being lapped again.
Back in the 3rd place is now Cale Yarborough with the Wrangler machine. That's driven by Dale Earnhardt. And the 3rd, now in 4th place, going by Buddy Baker. That's followed by David Pearson. Pearson is then trailed by Terry Labonte down the backstretch.
Quite possibly Pearson and Baker sort of biding their time a little bit. This is, of course, out of character from years ago, but it is in character from the past few years. But the guy that's been in the move in the last little while is that Wrangler car, Dale Earnhardt. He is coming up on Cale Yarborough right now, trying to take over the number 3 spot.
Leaders shuffle back across the stripe. It's Bobby Allison, Harry Gant riding second, Yarborough third, Earnhardt is fourth, fifth is Baker, Pearson is sixth. They're back in one.
And back in one, again, is that battle for third place. Here goes the Wrangler machine. Dale Earnhardt in the blue and yellow Ford. Out to the inside is the Valvoline automobiles driven by Cale Yarborough. There, side by side down the backstretch.
A real battle for that third spot, and Buddy Baker sitting right behind them, watching him in fifth place. But that third spot right now is gone to Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt pulls in front of Cale Yarborough as they come out of the fourth turn.
Meanwhile, as they average 156.9 miles per hour per lap, Darrell Waltrip, who cut a tire down, has come back on the track, is about to be overlapped by car number 88, Bobby Allison. Allison in the Gatorade car, drawing away from Harry Gant by about 15 car lengths, going out of turn number 2, is now closing and moving to the inside to lap Waltrip in the early going. Waltrip trying to pull away and stay in the lead lap. Meanwhile, the second position is still Gant's. As they come by, they will complete 27 laps this time on this mile-and-a-half track in the $500,000 World 600. At the stripe, Allison first, Gant is second, and then it's 25 car lengths back as Earnhardt continues to fight his way through in third with Cale Yarborough running in fourth. And remember that Earnhardt is the man on the move. He started 15th on the field. He's now up there battling in the front 5.
That shows what experience on the racetrack from yesterday has done for some of the other drivers. They've got a little bit of advantage on the drivers that did not run the Mellow Yellow 300. Gant won that event here yesterday afternoon in high temperatures and blazing heat. So Earnhardt is way up high on the racetrack out of turn 4.
28 laps complete this time by. Allison still on the point. 10 car lengths back, it is Gant in second. And here comes Earnhardt, who looks to be the quickest car on the track in third. Cale Yarborough maintaining fourth. Going fifth is the Buddy Baker car. Then comes the 03, the David Ift machine, the Chattanooga Chew car that is running in that next position back. The Hawkins car that is on the pole. Brand new machine, fresh out of the box and working magnificently. They brought a car out earlier this year, a Thunderbird, painted green and white, car number 13. Pearson says, I want nothing to do with that. It was a sportsman car for the most part. Now they've changed the colors, gone to 03, and Pearson looks very strong as we unravel the 29th lap. The field moves down to the first and second turn.
Well, Bobby Allison is the man right now on the point, and he's just put Darrell Waltrip one lap down off the field, and Waltrip gave him a fit. They were 3 wide, scuttling into that number 1 corner, and that give Harry Gant a little time to reel in Bobby Allison. But Allison is really moving out of the banking in turn 4.
And Allison right now is pulling away a little bit, but here comes that Skull Bandit of Harry Gant as he moves around and puts a lap himself on the Darrell Waltrip machine.
45 miles have now been completed. Harry Gant stuffs her right into turn number 1. He likes the high side of the first turn. James Hilton has pitted and come back on the track another time. The winds from the northeast switching around a bit now and coming the other way, still blowing at about 25 miles per hour, and a gust temperatures, they say, will reach the 90s this afternoon, and it's 600 grueling miles of $8.5 million Winston Cup Tour racing that centers on Charlotte, North Carolina this Memorial Day weekend.
We've got a report from the garage area that D.K. Aldrich is changing rear ends in the car number 6. He's coming back into the race, even though he will be considerable laps down.
The Wrangler car of Earnhardt stays third. The Valvoline Buick is in fourth. Riding fifth is Buddy Baker, and Terry Labonte, currently number 1 in the Winston Cup standings, lies 6 on the field.
Sunday, July 4th, Fowler Productions present.
One car down pit road for an unscheduled pit stop. That's Rusty Wallace, a young driver out of Valley Park, Missouri, in the Southland Fire Industries Buick. Wallace, the car number 72, the red, white numeral Buick there beneath the hood on the car. That's not a good sign for an up-and-coming, very talented young driver out of Missouri. 32 laps in the books here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're showing Bobby Allison, your leader. Allison picked up where he left off last week, 2 weeks ago rather, up in Dover, Delaware for the Mason-Dixon 500. Allison have everything going his way as he commanded most of the 500 laps up at the Dover Downs International Raceway. Bobby Allison leads here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, pursued about 8 car lengths back by Harry Gant in the Skull Bandit Buick.
Heading to Tennessee, see the Alabama July Jam. That's coming up at the Bristol
National Dragway on July the 10th, and the number for ticket information is 615-764-1164.
30-lap, 45-mile rundown has car number 88, Allison first. Gant is second, Earnhardt third, Cale Yarborough running fourth, Buddy Baker in fifth. The sixth position was then David Pearson. Seventh was Labonte. Going eighth was Neil Bonnet, while the ninth position belonged to Morgan Shepherd. In the 10th spot overall in this World 600 was Benny Parsons. Going 11th was the Jeff Bodine car, while in the 12th position was Bill Elliott. 13th was Joe Ruttman. 14th was the top rookie, Mark Martin. Running 15th was Ricky Rudd. 16th was Marcus. And 17th on the field was Donnie Allison. In the 18th position, Ridley. Going 19th was Rick Wilson. And in 20th was Ron Bouchard. That was at 30 laps. We are now working the 36th lap as Allison continues to lead. H.B. Bailey of Houston, Texas pulls on pit road. Rusty Wallace is also there, and so is our reporter, Chuck Young.
Well, we just got a report as H.B. Bailey comes here in the pits. The hood is up on Bailey's car. Now, we got a word just a moment ago that they have got an oil line that is worked loose from the back of the car. They're losing oil pressure. They're trying to fix the car now. Also, he has an overheating problem. Now, James Hilton has also been having an overheating problem in car number 48, and that is the story down here from the pit area. Two cars are in the garage area. Car number 19 of John Anderson and car number 6 of D.K. Ulrich. Now, D.K. has replaced a rear end up under his car, put the rear chunk unit under the rear end, and they're getting ready to drop it off the jack stands, and he'll be out in more action in just a moment.
After 36 laps, it's Bobby Allison in the lead of the World 600. This is the Performance Racing Network.
Tim Richmond going around turn 2 and coming down the back stretch. Jerry just went around David Pearson down there, and he's moving up quite well. The leaders will be coming around here in just a moment. Darrell Waltrip is already a lap down. There goes Bobby Allison, and right behind him, Harry Gant and the Skull Bandit here at the World 600.
But the car on the move, Dan, of course, is the car number 15 of Dale Earnhardt, the Wrangler Jeans Ford, prepared by Bud Moore. Earnhardt, starting 15th on the field, has now moved to third spot, and he's trying to reel in Harry Gant and Bobby Allison. Earnhardt, a good run yesterday in the Wrangler Pontiac. Out here today in the Ford machine, runs on the Winston Cup Grand National Trail, and Earnhardt presently being shown in third spot, trying to make his run on the leaders.
The Texan H.B. Bailey, who made his early pit stop, rather an unscheduled affair for him in the Almeida All Parts Pontiac, back off of pit road and back in the race again. Earnhardt going by this morning. And
here's Harry Gant down pit road, the car number 33, the Skull Bandit Buick. The early leader, Harry Gant, comes very, very slowly down pit road. He will make the hard left-hand turn into the garage area, and that's the day for the Skull Bandit Buick of Harry Gant. What a disappointment that's got to be for the team of Harry Gant, Travis Carter, and all the crew, Hal Needham. They expected such a good race today. They ran so well yesterday. They carried the Skull Bandit color so well yesterday afternoon and winning the Mellow Yellow 300, but Gant now has shut it off and pulled it off the speedway into the garage area.
It's been reported that he's got a burnt valve, Jerry, and that's why he had to pull in right now, and I'm sure that's a great disappointment to all the Skull Bandit fans who were hoping that he'd do a clean sweep today. Once again, Harry Gant, car number 33 in the Skull Bandit, back into the garage area right now with a burnt valve, and we hate to be the ones to report that, but we're on with the race right now, and the leaders will be coming around here in just a moment. Here comes Bobby Allison down to the start-finish line.
Well, the Gatorade Buick of Bobby Allison leads the way. The Wrangler Ford, Dale Earnhardt riding second. Cale Yarborough across the stripe right now shows third, and the Valvoline Buick showing in first spot would be Buddy Baker. And the car number 21, that's the Hodgson Engineering, National Engineering Ford out of the Wood Brothers shop for Neil Bonnet. So Neil Bonnet rides fifth in a Ford. Ford rides second and fifth, but leading the way, the Buick of Bobby Allison.
And it's the second time it's happened to him in that many races that before the 50-lap mark he is out. A year ago in the World 600, he ran second. Then the National 500, just several laps into the event, the car went amiss, had an engine problem, and it's happened again today. We don't know if it's terminal, but the fact that it went back to the garage area and did not stay on pit road would seem to indicate that it's a very short day for the winner of the Mellow Yellow 300 just 24 hours ago. The 41st lap is now being worked with Allison in front, and closing up a bit is the Wrangler car of Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt is definitely trying to gather up some ground out here. I'll take that back. In the last lap, Allison has shown some more heat. and he's pulled away. Allison has gained back a second here.
Well, there's a real battle, Ken, coming off that number 4 corner. Joe Ruttman's been ablaze all afternoon, and when he's got people like Pearson and Morgan Shepherd back there in that pack. Bill Elliott was tucked in with him a moment ago. Tim Richmond, Benny Parsons, they just come across the stripe and shuffle back down into turn number 1. About 7 cars battling for positions.
Moving from 13th starting position up to 5th, Neil Bonnet. He's picked up 8, and he's closing on Buddy Baker as they go to turn 4.
Turn 4, Baker up on the bottom, or actually downstairs on the racetrack. Bonnet is upstairs, gets by Baker, just by a nose off that number 4 corner as they come down off that 27-degree banking into the double dog leg. Would be Bonnet and Baker. Baker now has been dropped back into the 4th spot. Bonnet has moved up. Actually, Bonnet's in 4th and Baker's in 5th.
So, Neil Bonnet is now closing on the 3rd place automobile.
Oh, trouble down in turn 1. Trouble. One car just slammed into the wall. There goes Morgan Shepherd. Tim Richmond is in it. It looked like it was
Joe Ruttman's car may have crashed in that turn. Let's go to Jim C.
Well, Jim C. undoubtedly is not available for comment. It looked like that engine exploded right here in the double dog leg, and as it did, sent Ruttman sailing down into the wall, looping and spinning the automobile. Morgan Shepherd tagged him. Tim Richmond tried to go underneath him, could not make it, and we'll come back. There's the Richmond automobile. The front end is really just torn from the automobile.
Right side all dented in on car number 2, Tim Richmond, who'd made a great run in the early going. Richmond's car number 2 had started 19th. He had moved all the way into the top 10 and now has come around the track with the front end badly torn up. It is still moving. 2 other cars are not. Let's go to Jim C.
Okay, it was Joe Ruttman who ran into the trouble, and then the altercation among several others followed. Of course, one of them was Benny Parsons. They continued. But as we look down there, right now in the middle of the turn, Ruttman's February car is still sitting there, and pretty bad damage to the right, or to the left rear of that car. Ambulance over there just for a double check, and the other safety equipment arriving on the scene quickly. He'll definitely be needing a wrecker in this particular case. But it was Joe Ruttman who just lost it, and as he did, he went up, smacked into the number 1 turn wall, and he went spinning. So did a couple of other cars, but they relatively were out of harm's way.
In the 44th lap, all the leaders are pitting. Allison is in. They're taking on left side tires. Baker is in. Bodine is in. Bonnet is on pit road, as well as Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Cale Yarborough. Here comes Earnhardt among the first out. A very quick stop for Earnhardt, but not. He overruns Allison, and he tears out. As he moves up, he'll be going for the front-running position. A tire rolling loosely down across pit road, lands in the grass. Meanwhile, Labuddy makes his pit stop. The Tim Richmond car makes a stop and is now pulling in. It looks to me like the right front wheel has been moved back 3, 4, perhaps 6 inches on Richmond's car out of Ashland, Ohio. Tim Richmond looks like a retiree after a crash in turn number 1. Rest of the field is pitting. We'll pick up a leader for you in just a moment.
We got a report that Joe Ruttman is out of his car down in turn number 1.
The Pet Dairy, car number 75, Joe Ruttman, who finished 3rd earlier this year at Daytona, crashing in turn number 1, and a couple of other cars coming out with him.
Dale Earnhardt just took the lead as these other cars went into the pits.
Earnhardt now being shown as your leader. Number 15, Earnhardt. Connie Saylor is in and coming out again. This is the 2nd caution period of the day. 2nd caution of the afternoon in the World 600 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Performance Racing Network bringing you the action.
Your attention, please. Dinah Pettigrew, please call extension 219. Dinah Pettigrew, please call extension 219.
Means has been in and out all afternoon. The number 0 car of Delma Cowart from Savannah, Georgia, makes a pit stop, as does number 17, Lake Speed. Here's Buddy Arrington, the only Dodge product in the race. He comes back on the track. Pace car has the field in tow at turn number 4. The Wrangler car of Dale Earnhardt is the leader, the former national champion, bringing the field out of turn 4 as more cars attack pit road. The fleet's in down there for fuel and tires at 46 laps.
Jody Ridley is down pit row in the Judy Donlevy J.D. Stacy car. Other cars, J.D. McDuffie comes in, James Hilton's in, H.B. Bailey. Here is the Bob Jarvis car. That's the Clinamet car number 32. Jeff Bodine is in, Benny Parsons is in. We were watching the wrecker as they put the car of Joe Ruttman up on the hook down at turn number 1, and it looks like the damage, of course. The car just twisted like an accordion from a number of impacts as the colliding and sliding, careening into that wall and spinning. He went up into the guardrail as he slid about maybe 1,000 feet out of the double dogleg into that wall down in turn number 1. But they've got that car up on the hook. We're going to go to Chuck Young in the pits for a report.
Tim Richmond has brought the Stacy car in. Tim, what happened on turn 1?
It looked as if Joe Ruttman in the 75 car blew an engine or something, and he was sideways or turned around going into one. There was some smoke. We tried to see through it to see where they were going to be. Morgan Shepherd was right there. I think he might have got out of it, but he spun too. And I just thought, I tried to take the way that, I thought would be the best. And Joe hit the wall, and when it did, it sent him right back straight down the track fast instead of him staying up on the wall. And we hit him with the right front and pretty well hurt the car. So I doubt if he'll be back out there anymore today.
Nowhere for you to go?
No, there wasn't. If I would have went high, the oil being up there would have probably put us into the fence, which might have been the best thing to do, but I thought the best would have been on the bottom, and we did it, and it wasn't.
Not that many laps out there, but how was the heat for you? Were you okay?
Yeah, there was no problem, for right now. As a matter of fact, I was kind of, a little apprehensive before I got into the car what it would be like, what condition I was going to be in. When we got out there, I thought, well, this is going to be a pretty neat day because, some people naturally going to maybe fall out of the saddle, and I'll be still in the saddle, and we can beat them that way. So.
What about the color of your car, just real quickly?
Well, it's a wine color. It's like a candy apple red with a number 2 on it, with the Stacy stripe across the hood and Stacy pack on the rear quarter panel. And I took my vitamins today, that's for sure. And I was ready to run all 600 miles. And we got Clyde Torkel's Chicken Pit Special on the left-hand side.
But you changed colors for a movie?
Yeah, we changed it. I guess you could say I was trying to be Burt Reynolds double. And if they wanted to crash in the movie with this car, they got it today, unfortunately.
D.K. Ulrich's car is still sitting up on the jack stands. They work under the rear end of his car. 6 cars in the garage right now.
Chuck, any further word on the Skull Bandit? What's the story on that car? Is that going to be able to continue to run, or will it be?
Yeah, they're running on 7 cylinders, though. They had to disarm one of the cylinders. They broke the rocker arm. They pulled the valve cover off and disarmed that cylinder. So now the car does not fire in that cylinder. So they're running totally off 7 cylinders. And we'll get out in just a moment and get a word with Travis Carter just to see how well they will be able to run.
Let's get a quick word from Slick Johnson, who's down in the lounges interviewing some of the folks there today.
Bob Harmson, president of Jolly Rancher Candy. This is your first World 600. What do you think, Bob?
I think it's great. I'm loving every minute of it.
I just like that rider up beside David Pearson. He was in the camera car with it.
I was wanting to be in the race. I was hoping you'd stay out there for a while.
Bob, you're new to NASCAR. What's your involvement looking like for the circuit?
Well, we're here, and we plan to come back, and we're looking for a long involvement with Charlotte and NASCAR.
The Butterscotch Crunch 200 is coming up.
That's right.
Back to you, Ken.
All right, the field is back under green. They wheeled down through turns 1 and 2, and they are away and racing, and there is a report immediately that car number 88, Allison, was showing some smoke. What about it, Hal Hambrick?
He was showing some smoke again, and it seems on each restart he's showing that smoke. Right now he's putting the pressure on Dale Earnhardt for that number 1 position.
Meanwhile, Waltrip has made up the lap. He's running just in front of Earnhardt. It is Waltrip about to go a lap down at turn 1 again.
Well, he has done that, too, because Dale Earnhardt just went to the outside of him. And as you noted again, Bobby Allison running in second place does show puffs of smoke. Again, there's Waltrip trying to unwrap himself down the back stretch.
The car that's on the move down the back straightaway is Neil Bonnet. He's holding on to the number 3 spot, and he's coming on strong, trying to get down on the inside of Bobby Allison, taking over the number 2 spot. But just in front of him is Waltrip, and Waltrip is side by side, trying to gain that lap back from Dale Earnhardt.
Neil Bonnet running in 3rd. Just behind him, Cale Yarborough in 4th. Buddy Baker in 5th. Labonte is 6th. Elliott is running in 7th. And here comes Elliott, underside of Labonte at turn 1.
And as they continue to do battle, here comes on the outside now, Neil Bonnet in 3rd place. But again, Waltrip holds it back as the Wrangler machine with Earnhardt is still in the lead.
Down that back straightaway, it's still Earnhardt, and Earnhardt is pulled around, so has the Bobby Allison car, and Neil Bonnet is pulled around the Dale Waltrip car, placing him back a lap behind, but they're racing for that number 1 spot as Allison tries to get down the inside.
Waltrip putting himself a lap down again, and he's fallen 3 positions back. Earnhardt is in 1st, Allison is in 2nd, Bonnet is 3rd. Then you find the Waltrip car as they meander down to the 1st and 2nd turn. Yarborough stays right behind the Waltrip car. He's 4th overall in the field, Baker 5th.
We got a report that Morgan Shepherd's windshield collapsed and he lost it down in that crash trying to avoid it in turn number 1. They've replaced it. He's back into the field. A blazing battle coming off the 4th corner by Hal Hamrick.
And they're battling for our positions here as the car out in front, Dale Earnhardt, is just about 2 car lengths, but Bobby Allison has his handful of Neil Bonnet behind him trying to take over second position.
Well, the Wrangler car has come through with a victory this year after a long skein of losses, and now Earnhardt wants to win the biggie, and this is right in his home part of the world. He lives up on Lake Norman, that beautiful lake just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. He leads by a half-car length going down the back straightaway. Allison closes up. Last year's winner of the 600 is right there knocking on the door at turn 3.
And he's right on that back bumper trying to get down the inside. Neil Bonnet takes a look at them, takes a peek on the inside. He'd like to get up there, but Allison has to fall back in line coming off the turn.
Allison going to the inside. Allison making a punch for first place at the first turn.
And they are side by side. Number 88, the Gatorade Tigard, the machine right up in front now. Easing out in front of the Wrangler Ford of Dale Earnhardt. Now they're side by side again through the backstretch.
Earnhardt gets a nose out in front down the back straightaway. Allison coming on strong. Bonnet right in behind them trying it. Now it's Allison out in front. Still a little whiff of smoke coming out of that car as Allison gets a little sideways coming out of the fourth turn.
He almost lost that car, Ken, as he come off the fourth corner, but a car that is really on the move is Benny Parsons in that J.D. Stacy car number 28.
Dead heat racing for the lead all the way around the racetrack. It has been absolutely even. On the inside, Bobby Allison. On the high side, it is Dale Earnhardt. The Ford locked up in an incredible battle with Bobby Allison as he fights the wheel of that big Buick down the back straightaway. And here comes Bonnet trying to make it 3 deep at turn 3.
Bonnet has to fall off a little bit as they get into that third turn, but he's still in there. Up front is still a side-by-side battle with Dale Earnhardt and Bobby Allison. Allison gets the advantage coming off the fourth turn.
So Allison goes into first at 62 laps complete. Now here comes the Wrangler car back on the outside. Earnhardt is up to first as they go back to turn 1.
And he holds on that slight advantage. They're just tracking it. And as a matter of fact, it looks to me like Bonnet, the way he's playing, it's riding just to the left of the lead cars. He's looking for an escape ramp in case anybody gets into trouble.
The guy with the advantage down the back straightway for a moment was Neil Bonnet, but he had to relinquish that advantage as he got in there. Here comes, once again, Bobby Allison trying to get up around Dale Earnhardt.
H.B. Bailey back on pit road. Earnhardt in the Ford is in front. Second position car is the Buick of Allison. Then comes Bonnet in third. Riding fourth on the outside, Bill Elliott is making a move. He gets around Cale Yarborough for fourth position here in the World 600.
Hi, I'm Charlie Daniels.
Ladies and gentlemen, these announcements. John Morrows meet Amy, Tammy, and Beth at the infield restrooms. Also, little Aubrey, please come get Fran at the outside main gate. She needs a ride home. Lucille and Carson Holmes, bring your tickets to the main grandstand. Lucille and Carson Holmes, bring your tickets to the main grandstand. And Bill Jackson from Columbia, South Carolina, call your office right away.
Well, he'll battle for the lead up in turn 2 continues. Dale Earnhardt shows the way. Bobby Allison trying to push him down the backstretch. Here is Neil Bonnet. Bonnet goes on the outside of Bobby Allison and takes the Ford Thunderbird in the second spot. Allison hanging tough on the inside in turn 3.
You know, that Alabama gang has really had it going there in battling with Dale Earnhardt. I've noticed that Neil Bonnet has been pushing Bobby Allison. When they hook up in a draft, they've been able to get up beside of Dale Earnhardt. But Dale has that Ford T-Bird in the wind, looking very strong here indeed, just as he did at Atlanta and a couple of other places this year. And they're over off of turn 2.
Well, Dale Earnhardt has the Wrangler colors at the point of the field here in the World 600. Bobby Allison rides second, and Allison has been wagging the tail on the Buick, the Gatorade Buick, running second on the field. Allison moving the car up and down the banking in turns 3 and 4.
6-car draft, a choo-choo train over off the deep part of turn 4. They take it up right within inches of the grandstand wall, but the yellow and blue Thunderbird shows a 2-car length advantage over Bobby Allison in second. 2 more cars back to Neil Bonnet, who rides third. Fourth spot, of course, belongs to the car number 9 of Bill Elliott, the Dawsonville, Georgia chauffeur, showing his colors, looking strong today in his Ford Thunderbird. Cale Yarborough in the Valvoline Buick rides in the 5th spot.
The World 600. Number 72, Rusty Wallace, is coming back out of the garage area and onto the track. H.B. Bailey made a lengthy stop of several laps on pit road. He has rejoined the fracas. Meanwhile, the leaders are coming around to complete the 68th circuit with still Earnhardt's Ford in first, and at number 88, the Tigard Gatorade car of Bobby Allison in second.
Neil Bonnet rides in the 3rd spot. And 4th is Bill Elliott, the youngster that sat on the pole at Darlington last year from out of Dawsonville, Georgia. What a talented run for this young gentleman.
that Dawsonville, Georgia runner. Elliott has made some incredible moves, getting through some lap traffic of recent. He started back in the 14th position. He's picked up 10 spots since the early going. Here he comes in 4th. Behind him is the Waltrip car, a lap down. The actual 5th position belongs to Cale Yarborough, 6th Labonte, 7th Baker.
Allison goes for the lead with Dale Earnhardt at turn 1. Allison on the inside, Earnhardt on the outside. They are just literally touching sheet metal as they move off the number 2 corner down that back straightaway. Picking up another good battle is that of Labonte and Baker as they reel in the front runners. Cale Yarborough trying to do the same, but that battle for the lead continues. Hot and heated into that back straightaway. Petty is on the move. Bodine and Mark Martin, they're right in turn 3.
It is the car of Richard Petty that is running 8th, then Bodine in 9th, and right behind him, David Pearson in 10th. They're gathered up at turn 4 as the leaders go to turn number 1.
And at turn number 1, there is Dale Earnhardt, still with about a 2-car length lead now as Allison begins to pull up a little bit on him. Now, there is the Warner Hodgson automobile, number 21. Of course, Neil Bonnet keeping it very close, a 4-car battle down the back stretch.
3 out of the first 4 places are Ford automobiles. Ford, who a lot of folks have written off of Grand National Racing, is holding 3 out of the top 4 spots, and they're in front with Dale Earnhardt.
The Wrangler car, trouble in turn number 4. Hal Hamrick.
A car here blowing an engine as he come into this 4th turn. It's the car number 73 of Steve Moore. He is up almost at the wall, sort of sideways. The traffic going quickly underneath him, and a lot of smart driving by some of the drivers. One of the drivers went over under the grass area. We didn't get his number, but the 73 car trying to get up out of the way now as he evidently blew a tire. It looked like possibly an engine letting go, too, from that car. As he came, he is heading up closer to the wall now as the traffic slows here in the 4th turn.
At a major incident, Richard Petty was rear-ended, drop-kicked by car number 50, Bodine's car, which is smoldering down the back straightaway. Jeff Bodine's car number 50, the Cliff Stewart entry, ran over the back end of Richard Petty as Richard went to the binders to miss the spinning car number 73, which is making only its 2nd start in the World 600. It is the 2nd time that Steve Moore has been here. The leaders are all on pit road. That's Allison and Yarborough, Bill Elliott, Bonnet, Baker, all in. But the story is the condition of Richard Petty's car, which was savagely knocked in the rear as he hit the brakes to avoid the spinning car of Steve Moore in turn number 4. How much damage has it sustained? What will it do to the aerodynamics? Well, Chuck Young will be checking that story for us momentarily. 71 laps have been completed. We're 106 miles into this race. Earnhardt makes a very quick pit stop and comes out again, Bill.
All in the car about, looks like about 3/4, and now Bobby is moving away. I'm going to try to get up here and talk with Gary Nelson, his crew chief, and see if we can get a word on what the condition is and where they're losing. Now, it looks like the fire came from under either Waywack or car number 73. I believe Jim C, you probably have a better advantage than I do on that.
Looking right at it, the fire broke out under the hood, and the emergency crew jumped over the wall very quickly. That is on Steve Moore's car, and this one, of course, is colored with the yellow foam now. They raised the hood again, look under it, but I don't think he's going to do much more today. If at all, he'd be quite lucky. So that's Steve Moore, fire breaking out under the hood of his car. They got it under control within 5 seconds.
So Steve Moore has really had his problems here. Dave Marcus is coming back on. Story on Waltrip. Car number 11 apparently collected the caution car when he was trying to catch up out here, so he's been held a lap. He was not penalized a lap, but they took back the lap that he took away from the caution car. So there was a little fracas going down and a few words being spoken as heatedly as the temperature here today between the crew on the Junior Johnson organization and a NASCAR official. It looked like something behind home plate with the Atlanta team these days. 74 laps are now complete. In the half.
Back into action is Dave Marcus from Skyland, North Carolina. His car number is 71, and J.D. McDuffie out of Sanford, North Carolina. Those starter Harold Kinder, Labonte on the throttle up through the gearbox. Following him, Morgan Shepherd, Dale Earnhardt. These cars on the outside, and they dive for turn 1.
The leader, Terry Labonte, up in turns 1 and 2, being followed closely by Morgan Shepherd, the Levi Garrett Buick. Shepherd pushing Labonte off the banking of turn 2. 4 car lengths back to Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, who run 3rd and 4th. Lead twosome in turn 3. Terry Labonte shows the way. Morgan Shepherd downstairs, and here comes Earnhardt. Here comes Wrangler in turn 4. The Ford of Dale Earnhardt makes a 3rd spot move, and he may move on Morgan Shepherd here in the front stretch.
Pushing on Labonte. Earnhardt's going to make it 3 wide as they shuffle back to 1.
And as they come by, both try to go inside inside and outside. But there is Dale Earnhardt now, holding off anybody else as he goes back into the lead around the body. To the inside comes Morgan Shepherd. Shepherd is getting an advantage, not quite there as they go down the backstretch.
Morgan Shepherd coming out strong. Here comes Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott making it 3 abreast, coming into the third turn. He moves into the number 2 spot. Bill Elliott on the move, trying to get up to that Dale Earnhardt car.
The Fords are flying. The car number 9 just stuck its nose down, and it made up about 20 car lengths in the back straightaway, and Elliott sinks deeply into that second spot. He just took a big bite out of 2 competitors and knocked off Labonte and Morgan Shepherd, and he is now going after the Wrangler car of Dale Earnhardt in turn number 2. Meanwhile, back a little further in the field, the 5th position belongs to Cale Yarborough with the 6th position, Neil Bonnet, and they go back to turn 3.
And fighting hard for that number 1 spot now, Bill Elliott, who says that Milling 2 contract is made it for him. He's putting a bid for that number 1 position as he tries to take over that number 1 spot.
As they sweep across the line, Elliott goes to the inside. It's wheel to wheel in turn 1 for the lead.
And it is Bill Elliott in the lead, getting the advantage on Dale Earnhardt. But Earnhardt puts his foot down now, tries to move up again, but Elliott will have none of that as he holds on to the advantage down the backstretch.
2 Fords battling it out down that back straightaway. Elliott's down on the inside. Up on the high side, here comes Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt trying to get around him. Elliott's holding him off there side by side, coming out of the 4th turn.
This crowd has gone wild at Charlotte. A young Dawsonville, Georgia, that's never won a Grand National Winston Cup event will lead it almost at the stripe. Earnhardt just barely had him. They're back in 1, Ken.
Morgan Shepherd in 3rd, and here's Neil Bonnet dropping to the inside at turn 1 to fight for 4th.
And the fight continues back in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th races right now. Neil Bonnet trying to pull up again on Morgan Shepherd as the lead cars going to turn number 3. Earnhardt is in the lead.
Earnhardt is out there. Bill Elliott trying real strong. There's some battles back in the pack as 3, 4, and 5 cars. Here comes Benny Parsons. Parsons coming up into the number 5 position.
Coming back to the stripe, completing lap number 81. It is Earnhardt with the lead. Then comes the young driver from Dawsonville, Georgia, who just hangs it in there. He looks like he has enough power, Bill Cannell, to move around and take that lead.
He could, and he's putting the pressure continuously on Dale Earnhardt.
Meanwhile, to the inside, number 21. Here comes the Wood brothers, Warner Hodgson car, fighting for 3rd place. Neil Bonnet goes to the bottom side of the track beneath Morgan Shepherd at turn 3.
Morgan Shepherd trying to hold him off, and coming right in behind him is Benny Parsons, who's been coming on real strong. Terry Labonte's in that battle, too. 4 cars battle for that 3rd spot.
Parsons is in 5th, Labonte is in 6th, and 7th is Yarborough, 8th is Baker, going 9th is Martin as they go back to the 1st turn.
And it is 3 Fords now, 1, 2, and 3. Number 15, that's Dale Earnhardt. Number 9, Bill Elliott. And now it is Neil Bonnet in 3rd place in the battle spot. And here come the Chargers right behind him. Benny Parsons right on his tail in turn number 3.
Parsons is side by side with Morgan Shepherd, battling for that 4th spot, and he's got it for the moment. Morgan Shepherd on the high side is trying to get it back. Terry Labonte is right in that battle also.
One of the small awards, but perhaps one of the more meaningful, is the Goody Headache Powder Award. Right now, Morgan Shepherd looks like he's a major nominee. He had trouble early in the going. Now he's made up time, and he's struggling there with the leaders. He put on a great show yesterday and tuckered himself out in that mellow yellow 300. Question is, will he need more than just a Goody's headache powder before this one's over today? He may be going for the salt tablets and potassium. Out in front, leading by about 25 car lengths, 2 cars. Earnhardt is on the point. Directly behind him now comes the amazing story of car number 9, Bill Elliott of Dawsonville, Georgia. The Melling Tool Company Ford running a tight draft. 2 Fords up in front. That 3rd position is another Ford as Neil Bonnet hangs on. Then comes the 28, and Benny Parsons with a Pontiac for J.D. Stacy. The Harry Ranier car breaks up the Ford parade in front of this World 600.
Morgan Shepherd is riding in the 5th spot in that car number 98, watching the battle up front between Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt. They're coming in on a lap car out of that 4th corner, slamming off that 3-story high banking. 27 degrees as they shuffle back to the start-finish line through the tri-oval. They go by the James Hilton automobile after 84 laps of the World 600.
126 miles down, the attrition rate shows 4 cars officially retired. Rutland, who wrecked when he blew. Johnny Anderson's car is out with a wreck, as is Tim Richmond's car, and Steve Moore, who had trouble up here caught on fire on pit road. His car has been rolled back to the garage area.
Bill Elliott of Dawsonville, Georgia, is going for the lead on Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt had to go high. Elliott slipped underneath him up in the third corner. Out of turn 4, Ken Squire looks like we could have a dead heat to the stripe. Elliott may lead it.
Great.
6 laps are being shown, and Ford leads the way here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Dale Earnhardt has the Wrangler Thunderbird on the lead. Running second on Earnhardt's rear deck is Bill Elliott in another Ford, and running third is Neil Bonnet, the car number 21, the Winston prepared Ford. It's been a long time, Neil, since Ford has run this strongly in Winston Cup competition. When can you remember back in the early 60s when Ford was involved in stock car racing full-time that Fords have dominated the early stages of an event like they're doing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway?
Well, it has been a long, long time, Jerry Punch, but right now I can name one more. Jody Ridley, car number 90. He's in there running about 12th. So you've got 4 Fords right now that we can see in the top 12 spots, and they are really coming to the forefront. A Fomico show, as they say. 1, 2, 3, they're running right now. Tight battle for the lead down that backstretch as jockeying back and forth have been Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. Right now, Elliott may get down under Earnhardt if he can off of 4. Not this time, however, as Dale Earnhardt shuts the door off of 4 and leads by 1 car length across the stripe. Neil Bonnet hooked up in a draft along with Benny Parsons. Those two would like to move up on your lead duo as they head for turn 1.
Well, a good run by the young driver out of Dawsonville, Georgia, Bill Elliott. And the Milling Tool Company people are celebrating on pit road, the crew jumping up and down. Bill Elliott's brother works on the car, and it's a whole family operation. It's sponsored by Milling Tool, and they have got to be excited about the performance of Bill here this afternoon. The Ford of Bill Elliott rides second on the rear deck of the Wrangler Ford of Dale Earnhardt.
Had a third this year in the Rebel 500 and also collected a 5th place in the Daytona 500. Is having himself a dandy day, running in 2nd place as we're 90 laps into the $500,000 World 600 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway before what appears to be a record crowd. The battle is enjoined in turn number 2 as Elliott has reeled in Dale Earnhardt another time. Meanwhile, some 30 car lengths back is the number 21 car, Neil Bonnet. The Warner Hodgson Wood brothers, who are trying to change their luck, are maintaining the 3rd position. And 4th overall, Benny Parsons. Now, Parsons has had it an off and on again season. He's back up in this one. He is currently running just 4 car lengths behind number 21, Bonnet, as they go to turn 1 with the 5th position, now Terry Labonte.
6th place battle is going on right now between Cale Yarborough and Morgan Shepherd down in that 1st and 2nd corner. Shepherd is upstairs on the banking. Yarborough goes underneath him. That's the 6th position. It's unsettled right now. Morgan Shepherd has it by a nose. Yarborough will drop back into 7th. Baker will run 8th. And it looks like 9th is David Pearson.
And right behind him comes Mark Martin in 10th. Those are the front 10 with 90 laps now complete. The story up in front is a Ford battle. The Fords putting on their entire strength out here today. They have carried the front 3 positions. Of the top 5 positions, there have been 3 Fords up here almost all afternoon. The story in the middle of the field has been the Richard Petty incident where he was drop-kicked. Remember, he did not qualify well for this race. He's been trying to make up some ground and then was run into with a spinning car directly in front of him just a few moments ago, Steve Moore. That car took some savage abuse, but he's still out here and trying to bring it home. A long way to go for all of them as we get to 90 laps. That doesn't move us very far into this race at all. It's only 135 miles down, and the average speed is staying about 110 rather than 130 miles per hour.
Caution has slowed us a great deal. Bobby Woolwack has been in and out of the pits. He's got an overheating problem, Ken. The car is belching smoke all the way around the 1.5 miles here at Charlotte, so we could keep an eye on him. He may let go of that engine at any time.
3 caution periods thus far for a total of 26 laps in the race. The story is a dandy up in front. Here is Dale Earnhardt, who finally put it together, got himself a victory this year, but he is having to fight this very kind, soft-spoken, gentle fellow, this Elliott kid, who gets in a race car and he becomes a monster. The red and white, number 9, closes again on the yellow and blue. Car number 15 out of turn number 2, and down the back straightaway, we have another battle for the lead.
It looks like Elliott wants that number 1 spot, and when he wants it, he goes after it. He goes down to the inside. He's got a half a car length out in front of the Dale Earnhardt car. Earnhardt fighting back. They're coming off the turn side by side.
As they come back to the stripe, interval between those leaders and the 3rd place automobile of Bonnet stands at about 3 seconds. We have 18 cars reported in the lead lap, with the 18th being Dave Marcus, the 17th being Kyle Petty. And the 16th in the field is Rick Wilson, with the 15th car, Donnie Allison, the 14th Bouchard, the 13th car, Ricky Rudd, the 12th, Richard Petty, the 11th is the 88 car, Bobby Allison. Remember that the 19th car, still a lap down, running in 19th is Darrell Waltrip, Bill.
Something has happened to Benny Parsons' automobile. Very slow off the banking at turn number 4. He's coming in on pit row. We'll try to get Chuck Young over there so we can find out what is wrong with the Waddell Wilson, J.D. Stacy Parsons car.
Let's go right to Chuck Young.
Well, the pits, Waddell Wilson and crew getting ready to go to the wall. They do not have any tires. Here's Benny now. They're putting gas in. There's a lot of fluid coming out of the car. Looks like the motor's gone. A lot of fluid pouring out of the back end of the car. It's a milky-looking substance. And Waddell is talking now to Benny through the window. And we'll get a word with Waddell Wilson Motor. But it's all for the day for Benny Parsons.
Well, they just displayed the black flag to car number 26 in the field, that being Brad Tigg out of Virginia. The black flag being displayed to him as he came across the start-finish line. That's all for Parsons this afternoon. Another thing we've been watching all the way around the track, Ken, is that the front 3 are all Fords now.
Parsons has come back on the track. He has not retired the automobile. Benny Parsons is back on the track. He's picked up a head of steam. Then he gets into turn number 2, and the car is running very slowly another time. He has not gone behind the wall. Instead, he has come out on the track, but he's idling down on the inside, and he's being overlapped by back markers as he approaches turn number 3. Bosco Lowe is pitting his car, as is Brad Teague. The Virginia driver is on pit road, getting towards 100 laps. And there's a major story as, again, Benny Parsons is coming down on pit road, and let's see if he'll just drive it into the garage area. That seems to be the case. It is the end of the day for the 1980 winner of the World 600 after that dramatic battle, probably the greatest 600 in history, competitively speaking, when he and Darrell Waltrip went at it and swapped the lead back and forth through the final 20 laps.
Well, as they look at the field, the car in the garage area a few moments ago, we had just loaded with cars, but a lot of them have come back to the action. These fans are being treated to something else they haven't seen or witnessed in 1982, and that's the battle between Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, and Neil Bonnet, all 3 of the Ford Thunderbirds, and it seems to be a Ford afternoon. The Fords have been stout all season long. A great run at Darlington. Earnhardt was the fastest car on the surface all afternoon, and if it keeps it up at Charlotte, the 600 is going to have a Ford in victory lane.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt, finishing 100 laps. 150 miles are down. A quarter of the way, and the World 600 has been completed, and it continues to be a Ford parade with the Earnhardt blue and yellow Wrangler colors up in front.
Chuck Young is standing by for Benny Parsons over in the garage area.
Waddell Wilson and the crew are going to work on the J.D. Stacy, Harry Ranier-owned automobile. Benny is sitting in the car. We got a word a moment ago at Waddell that the motor was skipping, and we'll try to get a quick word here. Benny is talking with Waddell. Harry Ranier standing by, looking in. They're going to see if they can get the car fixed. Benny's explaining to Waddell exactly what it was. He said the engine was missing. So Waddell Wilson, Claude Quinn, and the crew will go under the hood, and Benny continues to talk here with crew chief Waddell Wilson and car owner Harry Ranier.
101 laps are down. 5 cars are officially retired. The latest one out is Parsons, Moore, Richmond, Anderson, Ruttman have fallen by the wayside thus far in the World 600 from the 42 that started the race. And in the pit crew competition this afternoon, what's the story, Bill Cannell?
Well, it looks like Bill Elliott's crew wins the first round. Elliott, of course, surprise for this Melling Tool team. And the second place is Parsons, followed by Yarborough. It's that Pearson. Pearson's crew is running second, the Chattanooga Chew, and Yarborough's crew is third.
We'll keep track of that throughout the afternoon because it's intense, and there's a lot of money at stake for those pit crews, as it is for these drivers out here battling for the lion's share of $500,000. The 15 car of Dale Earnhardt is still in front, but not for long. And down to the inside at turn number 4, it's Bill Elliott, another time, number 9. That beautiful red and white car out of Georgia gets down to the inside, and again, Earnhardt finds him off with an outside move into turn 1.
And he holds on to it as Bill Elliott again tries to go around him, gets to the inside, They're dead even now. Elliott has a slight advantage, but it may be the greater experience of Earnhardt that's paying off for him.
Meantime, that third-place car, Neil Bonnet, has been reeling those cars in lap after lap, and it's going to be a three-way battle in just a moment. There's some traffic down the inside where the Bill Elliott car is trying to run, so he has to fall back in line out of the fourth turn.
Dave Marcus is making a heck of a run. He's up in the top 10 with car number 71. Here comes the number 21 car. Neil Bonnet's automobile is now ready to challenge the leaders, and we're seeing 3 Fords out in front. Hey, it's been some time since we've seen that kind of domination by the Ford products, but that's the story in turn number 2. Backstretch, Earnhardt, winner at Darlington, is still out in front. Then the second place car is Elliott, and third is Bonnet. I wonder if the Fords can last the distance this afternoon out here.
Donnie Allison is slowing down. Out of turn number 4, looks like he's headed down pit road, Ken.
Donnie Allison, who had that terrible crash here a year ago, was out of business for 6-7 months. The winner in 1980 rolls in. Now 42 years old. He had an accident and finished 38 late in the going with Richard Brooks, and also hospitalized Dick Brooks. But the man who won it in 1970, after starting in 9th position, doesn't look like he'll have the opportunity to be around. He was second here in 1978, but 70 was sure his year. 4th at Indianapolis, first here, Rookie of the Year at Indy, and then that great finish on this track 1 year before his brother Robert won this race. H.B. Bailey is in another time, and we have an interesting situation on laps 7 and 11. Any lap that ends in 7 or 11 today is worth what? Some $400 or $500 to these drivers. 7-Eleven store is putting up, and they're equaling that mark for the muscular dystrophy campaign. I expect to raise some $22,000 for muscular dystrophy out of this race, thanks to the 7-Eleven store effort. We're leaving you now for 2 minutes for our local stations to get some good words in from their local sponsors. We'll be back with you in 2 minutes. After 107 laps at Charlotte, it's Darrell Waltrip in the lead. This is the Performance Racing.
Your attention, please. John Morrow's. John Morrow's. Meet Amy, Tammy, and Beth at the restrooms in the infield. Well, right now, we still have those 3 Ford Motor Company products doing battle down the back chute. Neil Bonnet momentarily had gotten around the Bill Elliott number 9 Thunderbird, but the Melling Tool car now has moved back into second spot behind Dale Earnhardt in the Wrangler Jeans machine. Riding high in the 3rd and 4th turn banking is Neil Bonnet in the Wood Brothers Warner Hodgson Thunderbird. The Candy Apple Red, White, and Gold number 21 ties right back in on the tail and moves down inside of that Bill Elliott machine in turn 1, but Bill slams the door, Jerry Punch.
Well, the 3 Fords working the turns 1 and 2 up in the south end of the Speedway. Dale Earnhardt continues to show the way in the Wrangler Ford Thunderbird. Bill Elliott, a good run for the young driver out of Georgia, as he's been pushing Earnhardt around the racetrack for the last 40 laps. Bill Elliott rides second, and now Neil Bonnet has climbed into 3rd spot in a 3-way battle up in turn 4.
Bill Elliott certainly drives that race car much faster than he talks, and right now he's making the car do the talking for him. He's been up beside and has had his nose in front of Dale Earnhardt several times, but Dale's managed to get acceleration and buy it in the high bank coming off of 4, and in doing so, he's been able to get back to the stripe by about a hood each time Bill Elliott, and Elliott now inside and has a hood length, now almost a full car length as he gets up alongside, but here comes Dale Earnhardt fighting back, and in the draft, Neil Bonnet tries to go high, but slipping back up in the groove is Bill Elliott.
A couple of cars retiring here. The 02 of Mark Martin being pushed back to the garage area. That's the Apache Stove Pontiac. A short afternoon for Mark Martin, one of the leading rookie challengers for the Champion Spark Plug Rookie Challenge. And also retiring the car number 37 of Donnie Allison out of Hueytown, Alabama in the Simon Isle Super Poly Buick. And here's the car number 77 retiring. That's Dean Combs out of Wilkesboro, North Carolina, the People's car, R.L. Monroe Buick.
And we look back to 4th position. It's Bobby Allison, and Allison almost a rear straightaway behind your lead trio. He rides 4th, and then it's about 50 yards farther back to Cale Yarborough's Valvoline Buick, who's in the 5th spot here with 111 laps down in this 1982 World 600.
Ford's had a lot of great runs on this racetrack. Back in 1968, they came through with flying colors. In 1969 as well, they dominated this race at that time. Leroy Yarborough winning in 1969 with Donnie Allison tagging along in second place. And today we're watching Ford's 1, 2, 3. Bobby Womack has just pitted his car. Number 77, Dean Combs, has gone back to the garage area, as his number 37, Donnie Allison. We mentioned that a few moments ago. We are 111 laps into the event, showing 166 miles complete. Bill Cannell with me. I'm Ken Squire, and along with the folks from Performance Racing Network, delighted to bring you this 23rd running of the World 600 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. For all of the crashing and burning and the dramatic start we've had, the attrition rate is simply not that high. The drivers are using their equipment and themselves very carefully out here on a day with temperatures broaching the 90-degree bracket for those in the grandstand and well over 120 degrees in the cockpit of these cars. The battle is for the lead, and here comes Neil Bonnet. He's been jabbing, moving around out there, and now he's ready to throw the big right hook. And so is Elliott in car number 9. At turns 1 and 2, Bill Elliott drops to the inside another time. Here he comes to battle Earnhardt. And again, they are bumper to bumper in the back straightaway, and they're making it 3 deep as Bonnet goes to the inside. Now it's 2 deep at turn 3.
And it's still Neil Bonnet trying to get down on that inside, but Bill Elliott holding him off by being on the inside of that Wrangler change car, Dale Earnhardt.
Back to the line. This time it will be Earnhardt, then Elliott, then Bonnet. One of the great stories of this racetrack or any racetrack, Donnie Allison is standing by with Chuck Young.
Donnie Allison is out of the car now. He's talking to Robert Yates. Bobby is, of course, engine builder. Donnie, what's happened to your Salmonized car?
Well, I don't really know. Something happened to the engine. I was just telling Robert Yates, the Diagar, builds the race engine for this car, that on the first pit stop, it hung up in low gear when I left pit road. And I was trying to get back to the pits without turning the motor too much, but I was about 7,000 and it jumped out of gear, and then it turned about 8,500. That may have been a cause. The car was running good, handling good. You know, we just had 400 laps to go.
How did Donnie Allison feel today?
Oh, I feel great.
It's good to have you back. That's the story here from Donnie Allison.
Neil Bonnet has drawn a bead on first place. He has passed Elliott, taken over second, and the Warren Hodgson car, the Wood Brothers machine, those familiar white, maroon, and gold colors, are back battling for the lead another time. Earnhardt is going high in turn 3 in lap traffic. Bonnet took a look down the inside. Remember, right here at the start-finish line a year ago, as they came around under caution, Bobby Womack slamming this number 21 into the wall, and it put this Neil Bonnet on 3rd Street for a while. He had a hard blow, much harder than anyone thought he sustained. Well, here he is back and running this 600 beautifully at 110 laps complete in the 1982 World 600. That was 165 miles. We had 16 cars running the lead lap. As we review them, Bill Cannell, if you see a shot for the lead, let us know here. At 110 laps was a 120-mile-an-hour average with Earnhardt out in front. The second spot was then Elliott. Came Bonnet 3rd, Allison 4th. The 5th position was Cale Yarborough. The 6th position, Terry Labonte. The 7th position, Morgan Shepherd. Riding 8th was Buddy Baker. The 9th spot was David Pearson. 10th was Richard Petty. 11th was Ricky Rudd. 12th was Jody Ridley. 13th was Kyle Petty. Bouchard was 14th. 15th on the field was Rick Wilson, and running 16th was Marcus. We've had 3 caution periods, total of 26 laps, 16 cars still up here battling more than a quarter of the way in the World 600.
Real battle is for second place at this hour. It's Neil Bonnet hammering away, and so is Bill Elliott on one another as they go into that 3-story banking down in turns 1 and 2 and off the 2,000-foot back straightaway. Got a report from the garage area that a right front hub is being replaced on the Mark Martin Apache Stove automobile. He'll be coming back into the wars and run the remainder of the World 600. Earnhardt is pulled away by 5 car lengths now from the battle in the draft for second between Bonnet and Elliott as they shuffle back through the tri-oval across the stripe, completing 120 laps of the World 600.
David Pearson is driving just the kind of race he wanted to drive. He's right up there, mixing it up. He still lies in this car, number 03, in 9th position, the Bob Hawkins automobile, prepared by David Itt. He is the 7th different man to win a pole this year, which ought to make that Busch Clash a dandy come next February. Already, 7 campaigners have taken the position in only 12 Grand National races this year. But still, the story out here is Neil Bonnet. Bonnet, who had a third place a little earlier at Martinsville, Virginia, when Harry Gant won his first race, continues to pick up time, move around this racetrack, and find a little extra, particularly in turn number 1. He's riding high. Apparently, it's helping his RPMs. He's keeping that engine run at full tilt. Telly Savalas has dropped by for a moment and had the opportunity of being here to see the start from a pretty good viewpoint. What do you think of it, sir?
Well, so far, I think it's wonderful, with 4 being 1, 2, and 3.
That's right. You're the Ford guy these days.
Well, yeah, I've been opening my mouth a little bit.
Well, I wonder if you had a chance to talk with Hal Needham. He might be able to put you in a movie if you play your cards right.
Well, he does that dangerous stuff, and I'm just a pussycat. I got to drive nice and conservative, and I don't do those daring things that Hal does.
First reaction to a big stock car race?
Well, I've seen it progress through the years. You know, as a kid, I used to go to places like Freeport, New Jersey, and these little tracks up in Massachusetts. But let me tell you something. I've never seen anything like I've seen in Charlotte, North Carolina.
You remember an announcer named Jay Michaels at the Freeport Speedway?
I sure do. How about Tom Gallen? You remember him?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
My. Isn't it funny how time slips away?
Small world, and the sport's come a long, long way, and I'm happy to hear it.
A record crowd is here today. I don't think many people realize just how much this sport has grown from those early days at Freeport when the Manhasset Meteor and those guys are running around to what we're seeing out here this afternoon.
You're right. A big crowd of 6,000 might have showed up.
We got a new leader. On the back straightaway, Neil Bonnet of the Warner W. Hodgson automobile has taken over command. Earnhardt is second. Riding third is Bill Elliott out of Dawsonville, Georgia. And Bonnet goes out front for the first time.
Hey, if you're an old fan of the modifieds at Freeport, how long before you follow along like this guy Burt Reynolds and have yourself a race team out here?
You know, we'll be far away now. I get back into it. I get Tom Gallen out of retirement, and you might see us here next year.
Okay. Where's your Tipsy Roll Pop?
I never suck on Sundays.
123 laps have been completed in the World 600. Telly Savalas out here to enjoy the event with over 100,000 others today, and I didn't know that he used to go to the Freeport Stadium and watch all those guys that used to tear him up.
He doesn't look like a race fan, but I guess he is, really.
Spinner Smith and all that gang used to be there.
That's something you're not going to do.
The Manhasset Meteor.
Well, those Fords are at it again. It is Bonnet on the point. Elliott still riding third. Earnhardt is second after 125 laps, this time across the stripe.
The third spot with Elliott, he looks like, for a young driver, has all the moves to be a great one. He hasn't overrun that car all afternoon. He's taken it out in front, cooled it off some. Now he's willing to sit back and watch. Dale Earnhardt on the inside, Neil Bonnet on the outside, wheel to wheel at turn 4, Hal Hammer.
And they are wheel to wheel, and it's Earnhardt coming off the turn out in front. Those cars seem to be testing each other, but that car number 9 just sits back and watches him for now.
Back we go to turn number 1, and here comes Bonnet on the charge. Earnhardt again on the high side. Now, Earnhardt is following the same pattern that Harry Gant did one day ago in the Mellow Yellow 300. Gant told me last night that he found he didn't lose any RPMs if he could stay high in turn number 1 and not take the bump. And that's exactly where Earnhardt is running now. Baker is on pit road in car number 1.
Buddy Baker, it should be a scheduled pit stop for Baker, and hopefully we can get a report from Chuck Young, who may be near the Baker pits. Let's check in with Chuck down in the pit area.
Yes, as Buddy Baker comes in, this is a scheduled pit stop now. They're taking our right side tires and the Union 76 fuel, and they're going to send Baker back out. In about 5 laps, we get the report that Earnhardt will be coming in. So within the next 5 laps, we'll be seeing our leaders coming in. Now, Steve Moore, that wrecked and caught fire just a little while ago, has just moved back out on the track. So that puts our attrition rate pretty low. We've got 6 cars in the garage. John Anderson out, Tim Richmond out, Joe Ruttman out, Benny Parsons, Donnie Allison, and Mark Martin are the cars in the garage right now. And Mark Martin being worked on. He should be back in the race in just a moment. Once again, within the next 2 to 4 laps, we'll be seeing the leaders come into the pits.
.127 laps being shown here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and a challenge over in turn 2 for second spot, Heel Overton.
And we have pulling down on the inside, Bill Elliott of Dawsonville, Georgia. Likeable young driver, puts his foot in it, but putting his foot in a little deeper is Neil Bonnet with that candy apple red, white, and gold, and he takes it in a little too deep, skids up toward the wall, enabling Bill Elliott to pull him off of turn 4. We wanted to comment that Dale Earnhardt's knocked down several of these $500 money laps from the Southland Corporation, the 7-Eleven folks, and he led this lap 127 just a moment ago. You may recall that Neil Bonnet, Jerry, had gotten out in front, and he had ideas of collecting that lap, but Dale Earnhardt got back in front just before that lap passed.
A lot of slow traffic over in turns 3 and 4 as Earnhardt is at front threesome trying to negotiate the north end of the speedway on the 27-degree bankings of turn 4. Earnhardt continues to show the way. The Wrangler calls, and here comes Dale Earnhardt down pit road for his scheduled pit stop. Earnhardt in on lap 129. This would be a scheduled stop for the Wrangler crew as Bud Moore and the crew will motion Earnhardt to the outside. They will jack up and change right side rubber. A full tank of Union 76 gasoline for Earnhardt.
And let's watch very closely and see if the lead cars can get back around and put Earnhardt a lap down, or will Earnhardt get back out in the same lap? Your leaders are down the back straightaway, headed into turn 3 and down off the jack and rolling. That Dale Earnhardt car, Jerry.
He should get out just in front of the leaders. Earnhardt, a good stop for Bud Moore and the Wrangler crews. Earnhardt is moving down pit road. Here come your leaders across the stripe, Bill Elliott and Neil Bonnet. Elliott, your leader. A lot of race traffic in front of the Ford car number 9, the middling tool entry of Bill Elliott. Earnhardt back out on the speedway in turn 2.
Where he comes up to speed right now down that back straightaway, and about a half a straightaway separation between himself and the lead car of Bill Elliott, dropping back about 6-7 car lengths. Now is Neil Bonnet riding second, and your third place car is Bobby Allison in number 88. He's closing some ground now.
We'll watch for the pit stops coming up of Bill Elliott and Neil Bonnet. The Fords get a little less gas mileage than do the General Motors products, and we'll watch for the pit stop. This is Rusty Wallace, the car number 72, coming down pit road. He's had some problems this afternoon. He's been in the pits a number of times for some unscheduled stops. A good up-and-coming young driver.
Okay, that car looked just a little bit like Bill Elliott's, the way the two are similarly painted, but Elliott still in the lead down that back straightaway, owning a 10-car length advantage now over Neil Bonnet. And we have this announcement with the party who came with Gene Millwood. Meet him at the field restrooms. The party that came with Gene Millwood, please meet him now in the field restrooms.
132 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the action is hot and heavy as regularly scheduled pit stops are the order of the day here at Charlotte and the World 600 23rd edition. Your leader, car number 9, Bill Elliott.
132 laps into the World 600. Right on his tailpipe is Neil Bonnet. Bonnet stays there, just lurking, waiting, working this track over. There's no sense in using up a race car early. This one could be a shootout right to the finish. Meanwhile, change that. Bonnet is now coming in. He's on pit road. Let's see if there's a further report from Chuck Young.
Well, it appears that, of course, we mentioned a moment ago that this is scheduled pit stop time. The Wood brothers go quickly across to the right side, jack that side up, and they're going to take on the right side tires and a full tank of fuel. And we're watching here as we are just behind the Bill Elliott crew to see if he will be in as he continues to motor around the racetrack. But he should be coming in. It looks like this lap, he looks like he might. No, he's going to stay out this time. So let's go back to the tower.
So another change of leadership takes place as the Fords begin to come in. I wonder what the range of those cars is, Chuck, as compared to the Chevrolets out here. I thought the Chevrolets had the best MPG in the event, and the Fords would have to come in a bit earlier. If you can get a report from a couple of those crew chiefs on that, it could be a telling story late in the event. 16 cars continue to run in the lead lap. And the amazing thing, 3 Fords running 1, 2, and 3. Bobby Allison has been in 4th position, while that 5th spot overall is the Valvoline Buick. Cale Yarborough still trying to win his first 600. He also just sits in there lurking, as does the Silver Fox. Bill Cannell, he's one to watch, still stays 10th. Richard Petty has been moving around in here. He's pulled himself up into the top 10. Whoa, in turn number 2, the Wrangler car of Earnhardt, working some lap traffic, nearly found himself bottled up on 2 automobiles. He darts through the eye of the needle and stays on the gas pedal as he comes up into turn 3.
Ooh, one of the Stacy cars just hit the wall up there at turn 4 by Hal Hamrick. Let's go up to Hal for a report. It was a car number 90, Jody Ridley, who reportedly had a physical problem prior to starting this race at 12:30 this afternoon.
42, Kyle Petty is back in again, getting some very tight running. The track looks like it's getting a little greasy up there, Hal.
It is getting a little greasy. We've noticed from several laps that car number 90 has been just a little bit erratic in this turn, And just a moment ago, of course, getting just a little bit deep into the third turn caused that problem of coming up into the fourth turn. But a car that's not having any problems so far is that car number 9. However, the Bobby Allison car continues to pick up a little ground on him, and he's trying to close up that gap and get in a little closer.
202 miles have been completed after 135 laps. It's Bill Elliott in the World 600 lead. This is the Performance Racing Network.
Phenomenal mileage on that number 9 Ford Thunderbird. Bill Elliott at the wheel. Down the back chute he goes. Let's watch him this time and see if he comes in. He must be running on fumes out there. He's in a Ford product. The others have been in. The other main Ford leaders have been down pit road. But no, Bill Elliott elects not to take it down pit road this time, so he maintains that leadership across the stripe over Bobby Allison, who rides second, and Bobby closing some ground.
Here we see the Melling Tool Ford crew down on pit road. They're flashing the pit sign to Bill Elliott. When he came by that time, they were waving that sign. They're about 2/3 of the way down pit road toward turn 1 at car number 9, the Melling Tool Ford crew, waiting their driver, Bill Elliott. As I said before, the Fords get a little lesser gas mileage than do the General Motors products. And here's Morgan Shepherd down pit road, Richard Petty, and we'll watch for Bill Elliott as he works the Speedway to see if he will make his turn down pit road. They are flashing the pit sign to Elliott, as he will need to come in very, very shortly for fuel anyway, and probably a change of right side tires.
And he just picked up that big 7-11 money lap on lap 137 just a couple of minutes ago, and he loves that, and he's staying out there because I'm sure Bill Elliott is having the thrill of his life leading this 1982 World 600. Neil Bonnet, who has made his pit stop, is about 50 yards ahead of Elliott, lacking that much being lapped, so Neil Bonnet would be in the same lap with the leader. David Pearson down pit road, and we talked with some of his sponsors earlier. They said David driving a waiting game today, but he hoped to be around at the finish and go for the lead at that time.
Automobile, Bill Elliott continues to sustain the lead as we get to 140 laps officially on the Charlotte Motor Speedway scoreboard.
Here's Grand National Stock Car Race all-time winner, Richard Petty. Let me tell you about a...
Well, David Pearson down pit road for service. The car 03, the Chattanooga Chew Buick. A car was prepared by David F. That's the Bobby Hawkins-owned machine. The Pole Center, DK Ulrich down pit road for servicing. And we're still awaiting the car number 9. Your current leader, Bill Elliott. The Melling Tool Ford is yet to show itself on pit road. And we'll watch to see if Elliott will make that turn down pit road for service.
Well, Dave Marcus does in that car number 71, the J.D. Stacy Buick. Marcus electing to go with the Buick this race instead of the Chevrolet that's been so good to him this year.
Sales driving fun, but it's serious business, too. And
other pit stops being made by Ron Bouchard, your Talladega 500 winner a year ago, in car number 47, another J.D. Stacy car, as he pulls up to his pit crew, and they go to work on the right side of that automobile, jacking it up, and it'll be a routine pit stop, fuel going in the left rear. Union 76 Racing gasoline. Meanwhile, Jimmy Means in car number 52 resides on pit road. He's down and away. And a lengthy pit stop for J.D. McDuffie of Sanford, North Carolina, as we still await number 9, Bill Elliott. Bobby Allison hasn't been in yet. Yarborough has not been in.
Here's the current Winston Cup Grand National point leader, Terry Labonte. As Jake Eller and the crew of the J.D. Stacy Stratograph Buick go to work on the car number 44. Labonte was being shown in 4th spot. And here's your leader, Bill Elliott, finally on pit road, and the crew awaiting Elliott down the far end of pit road. The car number 9 coming in, your current leader, the Ford Thunderbird. And what a good afternoon for the young driver out of Georgia. The young Dawsonville, Georgia driver having a good run here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And we'll watch and see how long he takes to get back out with relative positioning to Dale Earnhardt and Neil Bonnet, who were the leaders with him before this time. Here comes Dale Earnhardt coming right now. 13 seconds, and he's down and away. Good pit stop for Bill Elliott and his crew, but he's out right about the time that Dale Earnhardt is closing up on him over in turn number 1. You can look for those two to hook up again, Jerry Punch.
And here's Bobby Allison down pit road, and Cale Yarborough moving away. Tim Brewer and the crew of service the Yarborough machine. Gary Nelson goes to work on Bobby Allison. And we'll watch Dale Earnhardt as he's moving on the inside of Bill Elliott in turn 3. The battle is in turn 3 for the lead. Earnhardt takes the Wrangler Ford up high in turn 4, and Bill Elliott glued to his rear deck.
Being recorded, it is a 13.6 for Allison. An excellent pit stop. The Nelson crew really going to town on car number 88. Allison still a strong contender. They are reporting unofficially the leader now is car number 44, Terry Labonte, as the man of the point. We are under a green flag pit stop condition, which makes a wholesale change of the leaders. Connie Saylor is coming back on the track. He's just been in the pits, and right now we're waiting for an official word from scoring. It appears that number 44, Terry Labonte, has found himself in first. Now they're reporting car number 15. Number 15, Earnhardt with the Ford will take over.
There's your lead battle. Earnhardt has got Elliott reeling him in down at turn 1, and they're in a lot of traffic by Jim C.
And as they go through this car, they are staying very close, of course. Really head-to-head dueling. That's the way they've been doing it all afternoon, and there is no change now.
There's a car right in that same pack, the car of David Pearson right in that same pack. Unless he had a mighty long pit stop, he should be battling right with those cars. But now it's Dale Earnhardt just in front of the Bill Elliott machine.
Earnhardt brings him off the number 4 corner. Bill Elliott gets some clear sailing room to try to get by David Pearson as he and Pearson are in a shuffle back to 1.
In that pit stop battle, that was Elliott with that stop at 14-2. Bill Elliott's car number 9 had a 14-2. Earnhardt, who put together a third-place finish in the race at North Wilkesboro, won at Darlington this year, and things have been going better for Earnhardt of recent after that very skimpy 1981 campaign, and here he is still running up in front and holding on. The number 0 car, that's Del McCord of Savannah, Georgia, and 48 Hilton have both pitted their machines here as we get to 145 laps complete. 217 miles are down. In the World 600, 255 laps to go. The 140-lap rundown shows 22 lead changes among 11 drivers, with the leader Elliott at that time, Allison then in second, Yarborough in third, Labonte in fourth. Fifth was the car 15 of Earnhardt with 6 Bonnet, and they only showed 6 cars in the lead lap. But remember, those pit stops came in a green flag pit stop condition, so they'll pick up a few more. Probably as many as 10 after this thing shakes out will be running in the lead lap. The 7th place car, David Marcus. In 8th place is the number 11. Still lingering there, a lap down, is the Gatorade, the crew from Mountain Dew. We've had a Moo crew here with Pet Berries. We've got a Dew crew here today, and it is the Dew crew running in 8th place. Morgan Shepherd is in 9th. Buddy Baker is in 10th. Bouchard is 11th. Then comes the Ricky Rudd car in 12th. The 03 of David Pearson back to 13th. Richard Petty in 14th. And they'll gather back up that lead lap. Some of those cars, the front 6, had not pitted, so they picked up an advantage. They have all pitted now, and will bring them all back together.
We're about 50 laps from the halfway point. We'll be 300 miles down and 300 miles to go. That marks 200 laps of competition around a mile and a half here at Charlotte. The battle is over in the first and second corner, and it's not up front at the moment, even though it's Earnhardt leading, Elliott riding second. But the battle was for third between Pearson and Allison. Allison is coming on strong, so is Bonnet. He just got by Ricky Rudd a few moments ago as they come off the number 4 corner and head back to the tri-oval.
7th place runner, number 71, Dave Marcus, is back on pit road. The Wausau, Wisconsin campaigner is getting left side tires. We're going to give our stations an opportunity for a 2-minute commercial break now. After 150 laps, it is Dale Earnhardt in the lead of the World 600. This is the Performance Racing Network.
150 laps, Troy Hill Overton in the 600-mile, 400-lap Charlotte Motor Speedway World 600, 23rd edition. Your leader, car number 15, the Wrangler Ford of Dale Earnhardt.
This announcement, Bill Jackson of Columbia, South Carolina. Call your office. Bill Jackson of Columbia, call your office.
Well, Dale Earnhardt leads the way here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. A good run from Bill Elliott, who's riding second. Third spot, and we're showing caution flag. Rick Wilson over in turns 3 and 4. Wilson has contacted the outside retaining wall up high against the banking. The young driver out of Bartow, Florida, has had an encounter with the banking in turns 3 and 4. Fourth caution flag of the afternoon being displayed here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 151 laps. We have caution for a wreck over in turns 3 and 4. Dan Lucas.
Car number 62, you're right. Rick Wilson in the Wilson Racing Buick has done it, and he is down in there, so the caution flag will come out. Harold Kinder
is waving the yellow flag, and all the cars will come to a halt, and slowly but surely they'll begin to bunch up. And boy, this next start should be a real exciter, Jerry. And as you pointed out, it's been a long time since they've had all those Fords up in front. We've had 3 Fords in front most of the day today, and we've had at least 2 up there for almost the entire race for this World 600.
Well, I can hardly remember, Dan Lucas, when back in the early 60s when Ford Motor Company was involved in stock car racing and the Fords would run up front all the time. But this afternoon we've had
going on. Harry Ganton, the Skull Bandit, is running on 7 cylinders, and he's still out there today. Also, the drivers have a little incentive. We have that Southland Corporation 7-11 money out there, and every lap that ends in 7 or 11, as they come around that 4th turn when that 7-11 sign is lit up, bingo, the lead driver gets another $500, and they are going for the money. So it's really a great race today with lots of incentive to keep it floorboarded all the way. And it seems as though Dale Waltrip keeps...
Vikings, here comes Wrangler out of 4. Earnhardt, hard on the throttle, comes up to the gearbox to full song. Earnhardt will lead the way as we're back to green.
Playing the role of the rabbit, Dale Earnhardt looks very good as he takes it up toward the wall, going into turn number 1, bringing Neil Bonnet along, who rides 4 car lengths farther back, taking a higher line through turns 1 and 2. Back in third, it's Bill Elliott.
Carolina Campaigner leading by 3 car lengths down the back straightaway. Here comes Bonnet, pulling him up ever closer at turn 3.
Bonnet's down on the inside, trying to get a nose down on the inside. Earnhardt recognizes that fact, sticks that nose of his car down there, but here comes Bonnet again. Bonnet down on the inside, they're side by side.
As they come to the line, Neil Bonnet on the inside takes the lead. Neil Bonnet in the Warner Hodgson Wood Brothers car going to turn 1. Up on a left automobile, out of ribbon. Earnhardt is back in front at turn 1.
And that came because another car blocked him off. The car just in front was Slick Johnson. That gave the opportunity for Dale Earnhardt to get the lead again, passing Neil Bonnet.
Earnhardt pulling along strong, and there's a battle back to 3rd spot, as still in there and pulling away from him now is Bill Elliott, but he's got plenty of competition right behind him.
As they come out of turn number 4, front automobiles, 8 cars in the lead lap, all gathered up. It is Earnhardt first, Bonnet second. Then comes that Elliott car, and here comes Morgan Shepherd.
Real battle back there for the 4th spot between Labonte and Allison. Labonte and Allison hammering away on one another for the number 4 position to settle in out of turns 1 and 2. Lead down the back chute. The 2,000-foot stretch is Earnhardt. And it looks like Neil Bonnet is reeling him in down to 2 car lengths in turn 3.
And he is reeling him in. He comes closer and closer. He can really travel down that back straightaway to Neil Bonnet. He's coming closer and closer, but it's Earnhardt out of the 4th turn.
Back there in 3rd, it is Elliott, 10 car lengths back from the 2 leaders. Then in the 4th spot, actually a lap down, is 03 Pearson. David Pearson has dropped a lap off. The 03 car, 1 lap back. Meanwhile, the battle for 3rd and 4th, we'll see. Car number 11, Waltrip, is mixing it up in there again. Waltrip has been running a lap down. He's trying to gain that back as Bonnet goes after Earnhardt at turn 3.
And he's down on that inside once again. His favorite spot in turn 3 and 4. He can't quite do it this time as Earnhardt really swings off of that 4th turn.
Back to the stripe they come with the 3rd position belonging to Elliott. The 4th position is now Labonte in the 44, and here comes Allison in 5th.
Elliott is reeling him in. That battle between Earnhardt and Bonnet is allowing Elliott to gain ground on him. Lap by lap, the youngster from Dawsonville, Georgia, is closing, and watching back there as Allison gets a car-length stretch on the back stretch over Labonte.
As you said that, Bill Canal, those 2 leaders seemed to grasp the idea someone was shadowing them, and so they got together in a freight train and started to pull away. Back to the inside another time comes car number 21. Neil Bonnet makes his move, and he'll lead the 165th, 164th lap of this World 600. On the outside, Earnhardt at turn 1 takes the lead back.
And I'll tell you, they're battling as hard as any 2 drivers ever have as they go up that number 2 turn. It is Bonnet with a very slight advantage. Half car length, and here comes Earnhardt.
Earnhardt moving strong on the outside. There's some traffic in front, so Bonnet has to fall back in line. Meantime, the Bill Elliott car is caught up with those cars. It's going to be a 3-way battle here in just a moment.
What a tremendous fight for first position. In the World 600, Earnhardt is again the leader. Bonnet in 2nd, Elliott 3rd, Allison 4th. Maintaining 5th, Terry Labonte.
Terry Labonte is back there in the 5th spot. Let's pick up the 6th place automobile behind Labonte. And I believe as we drop back into the field, that would be Cale Yarborough. Yarborough would be running in the 6th position. A lot of traffic back there with Kyle Petty, Ron Bouchard, Morgan Shepherd. As they move down the back straightaway, so is the Piedmont Airlines car of Ricky Rudd.
Morgan Shepherd's car is running in 7th. I think Slick Johnson is standing by as that battle for the wall. It doesn't cool off. Here comes Bonnet back another time. It looked like Earnhardt was going to contain him. No, Bonnet is back in front as it seesaws back and forth for the lead at the first turn.
And you are about to have a 5-car battle now, as we see Labonte. And now Allison. Allison is getting up there, going alongside Darrell Waltrip, who has been lapped, of course. It's about to be a 4-car battle now. Here comes Allison. We have those leaders closing up tight on each other through 3 and 4. And there's a battle for the lead again. It's between Bonnet and, of course, Earnhardt as they come down the top of the dog leg.
Cale Yarborough pits number 27. Yarborough, who has been running 6, is pitted, and there's that battle side by side. The front 4 automobiles now as they go back to turn number 1 on the inside for the lead. Bonnet outside, Waltrip about 1.5 feet back. Then comes Bobby Allison as he careens out of turn number 2 into 3rd. Terry Labonte is in 4th.
It's going to be a battle into that turn, and here he comes. Dale Earnhardt is out in front. Right behind him is that car number 21, but here comes Allison Strong in 3rd place, and Elliott's in 4th.
Cale Yarborough pitted, and he was in for 17 3/10 of a second. Terry Labonte is now on pit road. Chuck Young, anything on Terry Labonte's car?
Well, here in the Valvoline pit, Cale has gotten a tire that's equalized on it. They came in just then, took on left side tires. Now they're standing by. Tim Brewer, Barry Dotson, the crew are checking it out. They might have to come back in and take on right side tires. We'll stick around a moment and get a report. We'll also go down and get a report on Labonte's car now.
The hood has gone up on Labonte's car, so that looks like trouble.
And Allison begins to open it up for General Motors. He's coming back. On the inside, Bobby Allison driving to the bottom of the track across the start-finish line, passes Bonnet, going into turn 1. He's after Earnhardt.
And Waltrip is finding some strength, even though he's considerable laps down. Earnhardt is on the point. Allison rides 2nd. Allison is downstairs. Earnhardt is upstairs. They're on the backstretch.
Waltrip is just 1 lap down, Bill, and he's trying to get that lap made up right now. Back to turn number 3. Go the leaders back in the 27-degree banking. It is Earnhardt in 1st. He skates the car into turn number 3. Staying with him is Bobby Allison in 2nd. Down the inside, Neil Bonnet takes a shot at the lead. Can't get through. Drops back as they lap H.B. Bailey at the start-finish line. Into turn number 1. Earnhardt with the lead. Here comes Allison trying again for 1st place.
And as they battle through the 2nd turn, Allison is holding on now, but here comes Bonnet closing up again, about a half-car length behind. The Wrangler machine of Dale Earnhardt in the lead, down to turn 3.
Elliott has dropped back about 25 or 30 car lengths watching that battle up front, but the Buick is trying to overtake the Fords, but the Fords are running 1st, 3rd, and 4th.
Off the 4th corner comes Allison and Bonnet, hammering one another, pushing as they come across the stripe.
Bonnet is there. He comes right back up underneath Allison. Then Allison drives away from him as they hit the bump in turn number 1. There's an interval of almost 6 car lengths now between 1st and 2nd. Now to the inside, Bonnet is up on Allison. They're wheel to wheel in the back straightaway, Hal Hamrick.
Yes, indeed they are. And now Bonnet has got the advantage as he moves around the Bobby Allison machine. Meantime, Darrell Waltrip trying to get up and around all of these cars to make up this lap that he's lost.
After 171 laps, it's Dale Earnhardt in the lead. This is the Performance Racing Network. We'll be back after 2 minutes.
Your attention, please. A 3-year-old girl lost her parents. Tina Ann Isley has lost her parents, Betty Isley. Pick her up at the Infield Hospital.
And heel over to Bobby Allison, dropping somewhat off the pace down the back straightaway as Neil Bonnet has now moved again to the rear deck within 2 car lengths of Dale Earnhardt. Allison dropping back somewhat in turn 4, and here's Bobby Allison. Something came off the car, looks like slammed the outside retaining wall, and now across the racetrack. rolling down toward the end of pit road, and Bobby Allison moving very, very slowly down pit road.
And Jerry Punch, it looked like Jeff Bodine got into the wall just a little in that car, number 50, the Performance Connection Pontiac, as he grazed the turn 4 wall. Not hard, but just enough to slow himself down, and he's over in turn number 1 and still progressing right now as Allison down in the pits. Right side of that automobile is up. They put on new rubber right side, fuel in that car, and he's down and away. A rather good pit stop, although unexpected, as J.D. McDuffie experiences yet another interval down on pit road.
And Neil Bonnet continues the halt. He continues to try to halt the rear deck of the Wrangler Ford of Dale Earnhardt as Earnhardt continues to move away, and we're under caution for the 5th time this afternoon here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
With debris, it would appear, on the racetrack over in that turn number 4 area, and it looks like we will have to slow down traffic so that they can clear the raceway to keep from causing any of these cars difficulty by running over some of this debris on the track. And you can see Ernie Moore making his way yet another time across the grassy portion of the infield, and Harold Kinder waving the yellow here from the starter's flag as the field goes to a reduced rate of speed, and that Ford Mustang going out to get the field in tow.
Leaders are on pit road. Leaders in for service. We're under the 5th caution of the afternoon. Here are your leaders, Earnhardt and Neil Bonnet on pit road, Yarborough, Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott. Here's Richard Petty, Morgan Shepherd, Buddy Baker, Ricky Rudd, and Ron Bouchard. The leaders are on pit road on lap 175.
21, Neil Bonnet. And once again, for the 6th time today, we are back in a green flag condition. They go into the first turn, and again, it's a Ford Performance battle in those front spots. Down into the back straightaway, trying to draw away and lap Kyle Petty is the Dale Earnhardt Wrangler, yellow and blue, number 15. And then it is a dogfight for 2nd position at turn 3.
It is a dogfight as the Neil Bonnet car's in there. Buddy Baker's also in there. Bill Elliott coming in strong, and here comes Bobby Allison down the inside, trying to get around David Pearson.
What a shuffle back to the stripe. Earnhardt has got Bonnet pushing him back into turn number 1, and Buddy Baker is reeling him in. He's in the 3rd spot. Looks like it's very tucked in one by Jim C. And as they go by, again it is Bonnet. In 2nd place, the Wrangler machine of Dale Earnhardt, and then the Uno Buick number 1 of Buddy Baker. 1, 2, 3 to turn number 3.
And Buddy Baker trying to catch up with them, but those two Fords are moving around now. They've moved around the Kyle Petty car, and they're out by about 6 or 7 car lengths. And here comes Neil Bonnet down to the inside of that car number 15.
Here come the Fords on another attack into the inside. They've lined these cars up like an old World War II squadron today as they continue to battle it out. Bonnet puts himself back up in front. Dropping to 2nd is car number 15. That is the Earnhardt car back to 2nd place. And now all of a sudden, the 3-time champion, Buddy Baker, who's been lurking back in 6th or 7th, begins to make himself a factor in this event. Back they go to turn number 3. Still, Bonnet out in front. Hal Hamrick.
Buddy Baker has got some competition as that Bill Elliott machine, the other Ford, goes down on the inside of him, trying to take over 3rd position.
What a battle for these Fords. Elliott is right up there. He's been there all afternoon. Earnhardt and Bonnet are there.
Well, now the battle is enjoined because Buddy Baker is there. Baker is pressed high in turn 1, almost in the wall. Out of turn number 2, Baker had that car skittering for a moment. He collects it back. Number 50, the Cliff Stewart car with Jeff Bodine of Bellingham, Mass, is back on pit road. Baker had a clean shot, a good look at the wall for a moment. He's gathered it back up. That caution flag really hurt Bobby Allison. He was in for about 17 seconds. Now he's back out here, and he's running side by side with Buddy Baker. The question is he a lap down? Our statistician, Bob Latford, checking into that right now as Neil Bonnet draws away to an 8-car length advantage, the biggest advantage anyone has enjoyed in the past 75 miles.
The Fords are really looking good here at Charlotte Motor Speedway today, and with us is the Vice President of Ford Motor Company, Bill Benton. Bill, it's got to be a good day for Ford.
It's fabulous, absolutely fabulous to see the Fords running as hard and as fast as they are.
I tell you what, it speaks very well of Ford Motor Company. You got Telly Savalas here, you got 3 cars leading. What more can you say?
Well, I think it's a typical Bruton Smith NASCAR promotion, an outstanding, exciting event.
Well, we sure are glad you dropped by our broadcast location. What can we look forward to from Ford in the near future?
Well, we, as you know, have a little car called the Escort, which is the best-selling car in the world. We will be having a new car coming every 6 months for the next 2.5 years. That's what you have to look forward to.
Once again, thanks for dropping by our broadcast location.
Hey, this is like the old days in '69 for Ford as they come wheeling out of turn number 4, and this kid Elliott flanks number 9. His dad is a Ford dealer up in Georgia, and they are now into second place with that car, the red and white machine, behind the maroon, white, and gold Wood Brothers automobile that's leading this World 600. And now, closing ground again is young Elliott. He is moving in on Neil Bonnet as they head down to turn number 3.
And he is moving in on the Neil Bonnet car, reeling him in. He's moved around the Wrangler car, and in fact, the Wrangler car is losing some ground to some of the other machines now as Cale Yarborough moves by him, and also Bobby Allison. But number 9 is the car on the move.
182 laps have been completed. We still have 6 cars in the lead lap of the World 600.
Here's Grand National Stock Car.
Well, we noticed, Jerry Punch, that the Dale Earnhardt car seems to be losing some of its steam right now as he's slowly coming off of turn 2, but he's now dropped back to about the 5th spot, it would appear, out on the Speedway. And we noticed he fell off the pace rather quickly a few moments ago when Bill Elliott took him for 2nd spot.
There's a real skull session going on down in the Wrangler pits as Bud Moore stepped out on pit road, is talking with Earnhardt via the two-way radio, and Earnhardt talking to his car owner as he comes by the front stretch, and Moore trying to decipher what could be the problem with the Wrangler Ford.
And he continues to lose ground as Charlotte's big Buddy Baker takes him over there in the Uno, I should say, automobile, the Uno Buick, driven by Buddy Baker, now is around Dale Earnhardt down that back chute, putting him yet another spot back.
And Bill Elliott trying to make a move over in turn 3 on the leader, Neil Bonnet, 2 Ford still right up front. And Bobby Allison slips down on the bottom of the racetrack beneath Cale Yarborough. Allison tries to set his sights now on those front twosome, those 2 Fords. Allison will try to put the Gatorade colors up front.
Candy apple, red, white, and gold, number 21. Neil Bonnet at the keyboard takes it 3 cars in ahead of Bill Elliott over off of turn 2 now. They're in the 1-2 spot, riding 3rd. It would appear to be Bobby Allison in number 88 now. Here's Cale Yarborough about 4th in 27. And we're not certain exactly who is officially in the number 5 spot, but the scoreboard now making some changes, and we'll sort them out for you momentarily.
Leaders out of turn 4. Neil Bonnet shows away the Hodgson Enterprises Thunderbird, followed by another T-Bird, the Melling Tool Ford of Bill Elliott. Leaders are in turn 1.
Packed for different varying type of physical assets that people need.
Yeah, we have the athletes pack, or if you just want normal vitamins, or if your kids want to have chewables, we have race cars that look,
Neil Bonnet up front, and he scoots around the Bill Elliott car. Now he's got his sights set on Neil Bonnet, who's out in front.
Bonnet comes around with less than 9 laps to go to make the halfway point. Bonnet draws away. He's about to lap Jimmy Means as they go to the first turn, and Neil Bonnet gets himself about a 12 to 13 car length advantage on the rundown for 190 laps in the World 600 today at 285 miles. Bonnet in front, Elliott in second, then Allison third. In the 4th position, Baker. The 5th position was the Earnhardt car, and 6th was Morgan Shepherd. A lap down in 7th, Cale Yarborough. In 8th, Richard Petty right behind him. In the 9th position, Waltrip. In the 10th position, Pearson. 11th, Ricky Rudd. 12th, Kyle Petty. 3rd, Jody Ridley. And running 14th, and he has now slipped off the pace, was Jeff Bodine. Then in 15th was Labonte, who had dropped 2 laps down after that great effort earlier. 16th was Bouchard, and the 17th position was belonging to Lenny Pond of Ettrick, Virginia, driving in the Cecil Gordon car today.
2 at Alabama International Motor Speedway, and the fastest race ever run down there. Bonnet seems to really have a point on himself. He pulled away a moment ago, and all of a sudden, Bobby Allison comes right back up, tucks it inside. He is pushing him down into turn number 1. Dale Earnhardt is losing a lot of ground, Ken. For some reason, Earnhardt is not running like he was earlier in this 600.
Incidentally, for you Bandit fans, he had trouble early in the race. He's running on 7 cylinders, and about 8 laps down, he's now shown in 27th position.
Down the back straightaway, Bobby Allison is moved around the Neil Bonnet car, and he's out in front going into the 3rd and 4th turn.
So the Gatorade colors are back in front still another time. The Gatorade Buick of Bobby Allison gets in front of those Fords. Here comes the Buick back to the line, and he is about to overlap the Brad Teague car as he goes to turn 1.
And Bobby Allison, who has won essentially every make of American-made automobiles, Chevrolet, Mercury, Ford, and AMC, now has a Buick in front going down the back stretch, leading Neil Bonnet.
Neil
Bart is coming back strong, though, down that back straightaway as he tries to get down to the inside of Allison and retake that lead. Meantime, Bill Elliott is coming back strong, too. He's holding on to the number 3 position.
197 laps gone. This is the 7-11 lap worth $500 to the man in the lead, and Allison is going to be the man to collect it.
That's on laps 7 and 11. As you count them off, it's a $500 additional prize from 7-Eleven stores. So Bobby Allison's just cashed a check for wife duty for $500 as he flashed across the line in this car, hoping for his 3rd win in the World 600, the winner in 1971 and the winner here in 1981. Bobby Allison continuing with the advantage, but not by much. Back to 5 car lengths, the difference, the interval between Bobby Allison first and the maroon, white, and gold, number 21 of Neil Bonnet, as Bonnet closes even more, coming across the line. The World 600 coming to its halfway point.
My daddy always...
Well, here we're just about halfway here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for this 23rd running of the famed World 600. Your leader, taking up where he left off 2 weeks ago up in Dover, Delaware, Bobby Allison shows the Gatorade Buick at the front of the field here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And doing a fine job he is in that green and white car number 88, sponsored by the Stokely Van Camp folks. Of course, the makers of Gatorade, and across the stripe enjoying about a 7-car length advantage over Neil Bonnet's Warner Hodgson Ford Thunderbird, engineered by those Wood brothers out of Stewart, Virginia. Neil hanging in there. He says this track owes him one after the misfortune that he's had here for the past couple of World 600s.
And Harold Kinder holds the cross flags down to the driver, signaling halfway or halfway home here in the World 600. 200 laps complete, 200 to go in the 600-mile classic here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Hill, it's a Buick, 2 Fords, and a Buick. The Buick leading the Gatorade efforts of Bobby Allison. Then comes the Ford of Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott, and the Buick car number, well, actually 15 would be the 5th place car, and that again would be a Ford of Dale Earnhardt. We were looking at the car number 27 of Cale Yarborough, and he is lap in arrears as a result of a pit stop.
That's correct. If the scoreboard is indeed right at this point, it looks like a 68 on the scoreboard, but it really is an 88 for those of you. There are some dots that are burned out in that scoreboard, but it is 88. Bobby Allison showing as your lead automobile, and he's enjoying that lead over Neil Bonnet, who rides second. Bill Elliott of Dawsonville, Georgia, doing a super job out here this afternoon in the 3rd spot in another one of those Ford Thunderbirds. Buddy Baker of Charlotte, former World 600 winner himself, in the 5th spot. And as you said, it, of course, is Dale Earnhardt in the 5th spot.
Thus far, only 5 caution flags this afternoon. The race has been slowed 5 times for caution, the last one on lap 174. So we're dealing with probably about 30 more laps before we would have a scheduled green flag pit stop. These drivers can go about 60 laps here, which is about 90 miles. They might want to push it close to 100 miles for a green flag pit stop.
Here's the 7-Eleven money update, Jerry Punch. After 197 laps, the 7-Eleven lap leaders, car number 15, has won 11 of them for $5,500 worth of awards. Harry Gant has won 3 laps for $1,500. 88, Bobby Allison has also won 3 of those laps, $1,500. Bill Elliott has collected 1 for $500. Neil Bonnet has 2 laps for $1,000. Jody Ridley has garnered in 1 for $500. And Terry Labonte in 44 has picked up 1 of those $500 checks. So there you have it, your 7-Eleven Southland Corporation money lap leaders after 197 laps, Jerry.
Your attention, please. Gene Bradley, please call extension 240. Gene Bradley, please call extension 240. Well, 202 laps being shown here in Overton here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 202 of the 400 which comprise the World 600. Your attention, please. Telephone company representative, please report to the scorer's stand. Telephone company representative, please report to the scorer's stand. And Gene Bradley, please call extension 240. Gene Bradley, please call extension 240. One car going very, very slowly in turn 3 on the inside apron. Looks to be the J.D. McDuffie car. Car number 70, J.D. McDuffie, veteran Grand National driver out of Sanford, North Carolina. And McDuffie pulls it down on the grass over in turn 3. The driver, who's sponsored by the Max Stores here in North Carolina, McDuffie, pulls the car to a halt, and we're under the 6th caution flag of the afternoon here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And it's unfortunate that he couldn't get that automobile on around, because if he could have done so, it would have avoided another caution flag. So we will see the average speed suffer a bit as a result of this. Already the Ford Mustang pace car out on pit road, where it will await the lead car of Bobby Allison coming around, where he'll pick him up and get the field slowed down while they can administer to the J.D. McDuffie car and try to get him on around and back out of harm's way over there off that base of turn number 3 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Your attention, please. Gene Bradley, please call extension 240. Gene Bradley, please call extension 240. And a representative from the telephone company, please call the scoring stand.
Lead cars down pit road, including your leader, Bobby Allison. They go to work on the right side of that automobile. Hood going up on the car number 88. Likewise on Neil Bonnet's number 21. Hood up on that car, right side tires. Bill Elliott down. Richard Petty in. Buddy Baker, Morgan Shepherd, Ricky Rudd, Cale Yarborough, David Pearson. Also the car driven by Dale Earnhardt. We have Darrell Waltrip, Jody Ridley down. Wholesale pit stops all up and down pit road, Jerry.
Well, it's like a 4-tire change. Most of the leaders here at Overton as Neil Bonnet and the Hodgson engineered Thunderbird and Bobby Allison getting 4 tires. They have gone back beneath the hood of Allison. Now he is down and away, but Bonnet will be the first of the leaders off pit road. Neil Bonnet down and away, and 1 tire rolling out in front of Dale Earnhardt. He did a masterful job to avoid that tire. And Buddy Baker down and away. Here's Richard Petty moving down pit road. David Pearson, Ricky Rudd, and Morgan Shepherd. 206 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're working the 6th caution flag of the afternoon, and pit stops become the order of the day.
Right now would be an excellent opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. Total time in the pits, 3 minutes, 50.02 seconds. We're getting set for a restart and back to Performance Racing Network.
At lap 210, the race will be back underway, and it will be a battle between the Fords once again. Gosh, they're having a tremendous battle out here, and thus far, the General Motors product has been the Buick of Allison. The Dygard team, the Gardner brothers, have to be thrilled about the performance Allison is giving them, but now he's sandwiched back with some lap cars. In front of him, directly in front of him on this restart, is that number 24 car, which has the former Rookie of the Year, Lenny Pond, at the controls. As they go out of turn number 2, back under green, it is Neil Bonnet's race to lead. Here trying to make up a lap, however, is car number 11. Waltrip is right there trying to get his lap back as they careen into the turn, and Cale Yarborough on the inside. He's a lap down. He's taking his lap back as they come out of turn number 4. As they come to the stripe, it is Cale Yarborough getting the lap back. No, he is set down once again. It is car number 21, Neil Bonnet, outside, putting Yarborough a lap down at the first turn.
Earnhardt just slammed his way in front of Bill Elliott as he got by him single file up in that number 1 corner, and down that back straightaway, it will be Bonnet. Yarborough wants to try to get the lap back, but look at Earnhardt on that backstretch.
Earnhardt's on the move again. He's going around those lap cars. He's around. He's side by side now with Dal Waltrip. He's trying to get around the Cale Yarborough machine and catch up with Neil Bonnet.
As they come out of turn number 4 for 212 laps complete. Neil Bonnet is first. Then comes Earnhardt, sandwiched in between the Yarborough car, and there's Yarborough in that Valvoline machine down on the inside, trying to get his lap back at turn 1.
In the number 1 corner is Earnhardt riding in the lead, but no, all of a sudden they're 3 wide on the back straightaway. Bonnet to the outside. Earnhardt comes plumb inside the wall. Yarborough is drop kicked back. Look at it, battle for the number 1 spot.
And it is the Waltrip machine trying to get up there, but it's the Wrangler machine up front. Dale Earnhardt goes out front, and he's brought Neil Bonnet back in second place.
So Earnhardt is in first. Second is Bonnet. And there they go into the first turn, continuing to make war among the Ford products themselves. Allison is still fighting his way up through traffic. He got trapped early, but he's now breaking away. However, he has about 3.5, 4 seconds between himself and those lead cars, and pulling away is Dale Earnhardt. After 212 laps, it's Dale Earnhardt in the lead of the World 600. This is the Performance Racing Network.
And look at the roll of the rabbit there being played by that Dale Earnhardt. He's really pulling out now that new set of tires after a 4-tire change. He enjoys about a 4-car length advantage over Neil Bonnet's number 21 Thunderbird. Look at Bill Elliott drop to the inside of Cale Yarborough coming off of the deep part of turn 2, slingshotting his way down that back straightaway. Let's see who gets into turn number 3 deeper. It's Cale Yarborough. Cale sticks his nose in high, but coming right back now is Bill Elliott. Elliott sticks a nose out in front of Cale. Cale loses a little traction coming off of 4, but gathers it back up, and it's going to be a dead heat for that 3rd spot. In fact, Cale Yarborough has it just over Bill Elliott into the number 1 turn, Jerry.
Well, those Fords are back up front again, Heel, and Neil Bonnet shows the way. The Hodgson Enterprises National Engineering Ford Thunderbird with Neil Bonnet aboard, the youngest member of the Alabama gang, leads us here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, showing 215 of the 400 laps, which comprise the World 600. A challenge in turn 3 as Bill Elliott goes down beneath Cale Yarborough again. They bump almost momentarily in turns 3 and 4 as Bill Elliott goes on the low side. Yarborough rides high. Here they come in the dogleg. Elliott down low, Yarborough on the outside.
Slam bang style around this 1.5-mile layout, and they take it high, wide, and handsome, and a whole heap of cars going into that turn number 1 area right tight together. Bill Elliott now gets a nose out in front. Now he puts his whole automobile down in front of Cale Yarborough and scoots down that back chute as he really stomps the pedal to the metal and takes over that 3rd spot with authority, this time over Cale Yarborough, knocking Yarborough back to 4th. Now they have their work cut out trying to cut down on the lead of these 2 lead cars. Dale Earnhardt and Neil Bonnet as they streak it off of that 4th turn wall and across the stripe.
A good battle back here between David Pearson and Darrell Waltrip. Pearson on the inside of the Chattanooga Chew car, the pole-sitting Pearson and Darrell Waltrip, both those cars a little down on the leaders. Those cars battling on the speedway, and now Waltrip pulls up in front of Pearson and Morgan Shepherd.
By dial 1-615-933. Operator.
And if you're heading to Tennessee any time of the month of July, see the Alabama July Jam at the Bristol International Dragway on July the 10th.
Showing 215 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Your leader continues to be the car number 15, Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt across the stripe. He tows Neil Bonnet in that Hodgson Thunderbird down in turn 1. And now Bonnet will sneak a peek to the inside and 1. Neil Bonnet down on the bottom of the racetrack out of turn 2. Earnhardt rides high, and we'll watch Bonnet make a move. Bonnet on the inside.
Neil flat-footing it down that back straightaway, headed to turn 3 with his nose out in front of Dale Earnhardt. Now he has almost the full length of that automobile out front as he has the low groove the short way around this speedway. But Bonnet doesn't have much success in holding it because here comes Dale Earnhardt right back, and he sticks his nose out front across the stripe first by a hood here, completing lap 219.
Bonnet is there. Can he get through, Jim C? All right, and he is staying right with him now, running up behind Steve Moore's automobile, slips up there in a wedge, finds himself in a sandwich between Earnhardt and now Bill Elliott. That's Neil Bonnet still running in second.
Bill Elliott has been coming on real strong, and with the help of Cale Yarborough, who's been drafting with him, he's right up there with the cars. He should be challenging, but it's still Earnhardt out in front. Bonnet's in second, and Bill Elliott third.
As they come to the line, Katie, bar the doors. It's a Kangaroo Ford race for the World 600 and over $500,000. Earnhardt, Bonnet, and Elliott, 1, 2, and 3 back in 1.
And as they blast through there, we see Bonnet go just a little high. That gives a slight advantage now to Dale Earnhardt, who keeps his pace, running 3 car lengths ahead of the second-place machine, number 21, Bonnet.
Bonnet goes a little stronger down that back straightaway. He's reeling him in now, and he's trying to get down to the inside. Earnhardt takes that lower groove as far down as he can go as he tries to hold on to that number 1 spot.
As they come around, it is now 220 officially completed. They're working 221. And back to the outside goes Neil Bonnet another time. Chuck Young has another disappointed driver along the pit road.
It's the point leader, too, and you are disappointed, are you not, Terry Labonte?
Well, naturally, we're a little disappointed. You know, the car was running, we were running pretty good there just before we went out, and before we started having overheating trouble.
Had you cracked the head or something, or do you have any idea?
I think that's probably what it was. The car started running hot, and we put some water in it and cooled it down, and then just before we come in, you know, it just about went around and pegged out the bottom of the gauge, so it's back up to 100. So.
Terry, you don't really look very hot at all.
Well, it's a little warm out there in the cars. You know, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Better luck on the next round here. Point leader Terry Labonte here in the pit.
A bad break for Labonte. He had an advantage going into today's race of 97 points over Darrell Waltrip, who was second. Bobby Allison currently shown third. Benny Parsons in fourth. And, of course, that's really going to tighten up the Winston Cup Tour.
A big change. Number 2, of course, in the second spot. Bill Elliott has overtaken Neil Bonnet in the Warner W. Hodgson automobile. Elliott now begins to reel Earnhardt in turn 1.
But Earnhardt keeps the slight advantage. Maybe a car length. But now both of the cars beginning to hook up together. Slower traffic there. They have to go to the inside. That's Earnhardt in the lead. Bonnet is now running in third place. Goes to the outside, and we've got a 3-car dash down to the third turn.
It is a real battle, and now Bonnet has got that second place by nose, but Elliott is fighting back strong. 2 cars that are affecting this battle is Darrell Waltrip and Cale Yarborough. They're a lap behind, but they're trying to make up a lap.
Back to the stripe. It'll be Earnhardt, then Bonnet and Elliott. They shuffle dice, exchange positions. Waltrip and Yarborough want back in that lead lap. Something bad, Ken Squire.
They sure do. Waltrip is running on the high side right now as they go into the turn. He gets around Elliott. He goes after Bonnet, and all of a sudden they have found the handle on the Dew Crew car. The Junior Johnson crew is really making that one work. Down the back straightaway, Elliott tries to gather Waltrip back up, keeping that lap down on number 9. But Waltrip has far different idea.
Car spinning here, and the fourth turn, the car 0. Delbert Cowart, he spun just in front of the leaders, but he went down to the inside. He is up against the wall. He didn't actually crash against the wall. He spun out just in front of the leaders. The leader stayed on the high side, and Delbert Cowart is down against the wall over the tunnel here, and that brings out another caution flag.
That brings out the 7th caution flag of the afternoon, Hal, as Delbert Cowart spins and puts the nose of his car right against the wall, although not sustaining any damage to number 0, and he had the leaders right behind him. If that car had started to truck up the track, we'd have taken out the front 4 automobiles. They would have all been akimbo right there in front of the Hal Hamrick announced position at turn number 4, where we had a 12-car disaster in the Sportsman Mellow Yellow 300. So it's a goodies headache powder for sure for Delbert Cowart out here this afternoon. In car number 0, the leaders are all back on pit road, still another time with 225 laps of the 400 in the World 600.
Here they come. Here they come.
For the turn, let's see what Morgan Shepherd could do. He made a good fight of it yesterday in the Mellow Yellow 300 before settling for third spot. As they come to the stripe, Darrell Waltrip is right behind him trying to get his lap back. There goes Waltrip. He hammers down into turn number 1, and Waltrip seems on his way, Jim C.
Well, he certainly does, and don't ever count this Mountain Dew machine out, especially with Darrell Waltrip, the winningest driver on the circuit this year. And he is storming away from the field as they go down the back stretch, but he may have competition right on his tail.
Meantime, the man who is out in front, that car number 21 of Neil Bonnet, has moved around the Morgan Shepherd car. He's out in front. Here comes Dale Earnhardt up to it, and of course Richard Petty is trying to gain back a lap, and he's right in front of Earnhardt.
Neil Bonnet puts himself back in front of Morgan Shepherd. And here comes Earnhardt down the inside along with Bill Elliott as they go to turn number 1, both moving Morgan Shepherd back to 4th position.
And we have Neil Bonnet now trying to gain that lap again on Darrell Waltrip. If this were a race for the lead, it'd have everybody on their feet, and they still may do it. But right now, here's Neil Bonnet trying to get around Darrell Waltrip and put another lap on him as they go down to turn 3.
And anytime these top boys are running, the crowd is on their feet. Here comes Dale Earnhardt trying to wedge his way between the car of Darrell Waltrip and Richard Petty. He gets in there and holds on to that number 2 position.
Earnhardt got tagged, shaken up. He was a little loose. He and Petty were in contact for just a moment as they came out of turn number 4. Now Earnhardt is away. He drops down to the inside. He puts a lap on Waltrip, and Earnhardt goes after Neil Bonnet in the back straightaway. It's the same confrontation we've seen all afternoon. There goes Earnhardt, zooming down the inside. The man who's been here since 1976 trying to win this event is out in front another time. He's a little slick by you, Hal Hamrick.
He definitely is, but he scooted around the Neil Bonnet car. Meantime, Bill Elliott has got caught in that pack of cars, and right behind him is Bobby Allison, and Bobby Allison's trying to take over that 4th spot.
Since 1976, Earnhardt has been here. In 77, he didn't get into the race. One year he finished 3rd, 1979. Last year he finished up in the 20th position, or rather 2 years ago. Last year was 18th overall. Engine failure late in the race. Now he's fighting for first place with Neil Bonnet back at turn number 3.
And Neil Bonnet's got that Ford running, and he, down that back straightaway every time, comes stronger and stronger. He was trying to get the Wrangler machine that time, but couldn't quite catch him.
A pack of cars shuttle off turn number 4 and dikes back into turn 1. Earnhardt at the point. Bonnet chewing away at that rear bumper. And as they do so, in that second pack, Waltrip has got his hands full with Bill Elliott and Allison. Allison is tucked in. Here goes Bill Elliott around Waltrip to try to reel in the leaders.
Earnhardt pulls away by about 4 car lengths. Next lap up will be worth $500. We ought to see him really skirmish out here from 7-Eleven stores as they come around. They're out of turn number 4. Earnhardt in first. Neil Bonnet making his 4th run in the World 600. Closes again on Earnhardt. Remember that Neil Bonnet sat on the pole here in 1979 and in 1981, but he's never finished better than 5th at the end of the World 600. Right now, Bonnet's in second place, just 2 car lengths behind, now 3 car lengths behind. As on the back straightaway, Earnhardt shows some power in the Wrangler jeans machine.
Here comes that third place driver, Bobby Allison, who is in the lead lap. Elliott is 4th. Waltrip's a lap down, and shown in the 5th spot is Morgan Shepherd. Now keep an eye, both Jim C. and Hal Emmerich, on Bobby Allison, as we will here on the tower. He is reeling in Bonnet and Earnhardt, and Elliott is following him in the draft.
This has been one of Bobby Allison's all-time best races. Of course, he won here in 1971, and he won here a year ago. And he's had 3 third-place finishes in this race, as well as 1 fourth-place finish. So look out for Bobby Allison as he closes ground, moves in at turn number 3 on Neil Bonnet.
He's right on his back bumper. There's some traffic in front of him. It might have a bearing on this race, and he's going to have to stay tucked in behind the Neil Bonnet car as it comes off the 4th turn.
Bobby Allison, currently 3rd in the Winston Cup standings, is running 3rd in the World 600 with 239 of the 400 laps complete. Brad Teague on pit road and back out again.
Allison got him. Allison got Bonnet up in turn number 2. Bonnet's car pushed high up against the wall, and Allison went by him. Now he's chasing down Dale Earnhardt.
Derek is after that Ford, and let's see if he can do it. He's chasing him. He's down on the inside. Earnhardt moves just a little bit, moves up a half a groove, and Allison's trying to take advantage of it.
Bobby Allison off the corner, comes back to the line, closes on Earnhardt. He's up there. He's trying to find some running room. Remember, he won at Dover, Delaware. He won at Daytona. Here he is on the inside trying to win the World 600. Bobby Allison, winner of 67 Grand National races, is back in front here in the World 600 out of turn number 2. He moves on lap cars. He moved underneath Dale Earnhardt in the second turn. He leads him going to turn 3.
And he's in that lead right now. Earnhardt got a little squirrely over there. Meantime, Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott are trying to catch up with those 2 lead cars, but behind that second place car, they're about 7 or 8 car lengths behind.
Elliott and Bonnet have got their own battle going, while Allison is being pulled away, actually running away from Dale Earnhardt. He doesn't want that to happen, Ken Squire.
I'll tell you, there's a fair possibility you'll see a driver change on car number 88. They say that fumes have been building up in that car. The air, for all of this rushing around at 180 miles per hour, the air stagnates in these cars. They have small opera windows on these 81, 82 smaller wheelbase automobiles, and the air doesn't move around as much. There's not as much turbulence in there. They say that some fumes have come into the car, and that Allison is physically having his own personal battle here, as well as a war with Dale Earnhardt in second, Neil Bonnet in third, Elliott running in the 4th position, and in 5th, Morgan Shepherd. In the 6th position is car number 1, Buddy Baker. Don't discount Baker in the Uno car, the Uno International Games number 1 of Haas Ellington. He has stayed in the lead lap. He hasn't done anything dramatic. He's been waiting, but we're more than halfway, and Buddy Baker, 3-time winner of the World 600, can now become a factor. In turn 3, we have a pass.
Yes, indeed, and it's Bill Elliott trying to get around the Neil Bonnet car there, side by side coming to the line.
Boy, what a battle. Elliott will lead it. He will take the 3rd spot away from Neil Bonnet going across the stripe in turn 1, and Elliott begins to pull away and try to run down Dale Earnhardt.
Richard Petty is running 7th. Darrell Waltrip is in 8th. Ricky Rudd is 9th. Cale Yarborough is 10th. In 11th is Jody Ridley, and 12th is Kyle Petty here in the World 600. It's a dazzler, a record crowd, a golden day this Memorial Day weekend, and an incredible automobile race as the Fords are back in automobile racing, showing muscle they haven't shown in a decade. Can they hold it together? Will this be a complete Ford domination like it used to be in those days in 68 and 69 with Cale Yarborough and Leroy Yarborough? Now, it's a whole different story. In the back straightaway, Bobby Allison is trying overcoming everybody. He's rolled up through 5 or 6 positions, and he is showing that this Gatorade Die-Guard team can come through on any size track and pull it off. They proved it at Daytona. They did it at Dover, Delaware. The controversial Bobby Allison, one of the great chargers of the game, is now being overtaken. Earnhardt, number 15, goes up on the outside in turn 1. Battle for the lead.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bobby Allison, who won his first Grand National pole in Columbia, South Carolina in 1966, is showing why he is such a great veteran. He's got a challenge from Earnhardt. Earnhardt is right behind him, but Earnhardt is not able to catch Bobby Allison in the Buick. The Ford's still trying to chase him down, but Allison showers down off the number 4 turn, and he's still got the lead.
Bobby Allison in a crash here in 1980, not able to complete the race. Gave it a good effort, but it ended up in a wreck for him that saw him finally given 26. Here he is out in front. Will he hold on? Earnhardt is side by side with him in the first turn. Another wheel-to-wheel battle. Left car in front, and Allison is forcing Earnhardt to get out of the throttle. They came up on a lapped automobile, and Allison absolutely moved up the track. I believe it was Delmer Cowart. And Allison said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Earnhardt, but understand, if you want me, you'll have to let blown engine on car number 73. Across the finish line, an engine goes on the Steve Moore car. Remember, he had trouble earlier. He spun, then had a fire on pit road. Well, that's 3 for 3 for Steve Moore, and there will be no more.
No yellow flag, no caution. We're going to stay under green at this hour. Harold Kinder is not even displaying anything but the move-over flag for the slower cars to get down out of the way of the faster automobiles, and right now Allison has really got his hands full in turn 3 with Earnhardt.
Earnhardt is trying to get down on the inside of him. Once again, Allison holding him off. Allison sees a slower car in front. He takes advantage of that, moving up, and here comes Earnhardt down on the inside.
What a dandy race in the World 600 as they lap the Connie Saylor car, now with a new driver at the controls of that one. Number 88, Allison in front. And Earnhardt has some new respect, but not much. He drops on the inside. Earnhardt making a shot for the lead.
Earnhardt takes the lead down the backstretch now. Dale Earnhardt with Bobby Allison keeping abreast of him now. Again, side by side in turn 3, Hal Hamrick.
And Bobby Allison nose to nose. And now they're side by side coming through 3 and 4. Earnhardt's got about a half of a hood out in front of him. Here comes Allison. Earnhardt's going down pit road.
Something amiss on Earnhardt's automobile, and Allison crosses the line, waltzing away with the lead as we get to 250 laps. Let's go to Chuck Young on pit road.
We'll have a report with Earnhardt momentarily, and we'll come back with him.
Number 73, Moore, retires, goes back to the garage area. Hood came up briefly on car number 15, the Bud Moore car for Dale Earnhardt.
It's race day on the Winston Cup circuit. The green flag.
Great Scott, can you believe it? There's Earnhardt out in front, boy, and he had him right down on the inside as they came around between the 3rd and 4th turn, and all of a sudden down into pit row. And there, it looks like we've got a heating problem on Earnhardt's car right now, and he's in pit row, and Bobby Allison is out in front. Right behind him is that Ford, that number 9 car. Hill, you got it.
Well, it looks too bad right now for Dale Earnhardt. He's been running so well and battling there for the lead, and he's down and away right now. No tires. This time he's going back out, and let's see if he can get that temperature cooled down. Meanwhile, we have a gentleman here in the tower with us that Dan Lucas would like to talk to, I'm sure, right now.
Tom Chambers with Goody Headache Powders. And Tom, we want to thank you for providing our race fans here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with the richest purse in qualifying history.
Thank you, Dan. We sure are glad to be a part of the greatest pole day in history of motor speed racing, and Goody's just really feels a privilege to be a part of the Charlotte Motor Speedway and NASCAR program here today. It's just marvelous to look at this crowd.
Well, there are a lot of headaches down there sitting in that hot sun, and we hope, Tom, that they're taking a lot of those Goody powders today and those Goody pills. And I know there's no headaches with Dave Pearson when he picked up that $6,200 check.
He sure did. In fact, he said he had to start the race this morning with a Goody's headache powder.
Wait, I got to correct that $16,200 check.
Well, I'm sure David knows how much it is now.
Yeah.
But really it is. It's just a great race. We hope this competition can keep going like it is, and maybe the best man win today.
Well, you've been fabulous with us here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for quite some time, and we want to say big thanks to Goody's Headache Powders. Tom Chambers, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. And these announcements, Jake Morris, go to the cafeteria. Electrician, you're needed behind the old press box for Channel 9. Bill Jackson of Columbia, South Carolina. Call your office. And this special announcement here, Dan Lucas, for Lisa Mitchell. It simply says, it's a girl. I hope that's good news.
Well, that just adds to all the excitement out here today. Got lots of things happening here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the 23rd running of the World 600.
There's H.B. Bailey down pit road and back into the action, and it looks bad right now for Jeff Bodine. Car number 50, I believe, is going to take it behind pit wall in the Performance Connection Pontiac. He does. Car 50, that blue and white automobile with a red number 50, taking it back to the garage area, evidently through for the afternoon at lap 254. Bobby Allison, 88, showing as your leader as he stalks this Charlotte Motor Speedway and has things going pretty much his own way at this juncture.
Bill Elliott in the Melling Tool Ford, car number 9, still running up there in second place, and number 21, a part of the Alabama gang, the youngest member, right there in car number 21, Neil Bonnet, the Hueytown kid, in that Warner Hodgson National Engineering Ford. As the race continues, the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
1/10 of a second. Now that's a lot for Bobby Allison. It is the biggest advantage anyone's had, but it's not much of a breather. The story that we're going to be getting from Chuck Young very shortly will be about the condition of Bobby Allison, Chuck. Everyone up here is very concerned. They seem to feel that those gas fumes may require a driver change and that brother Donnie may get out here to finish this race. Remember that just 3 years ago, Talladega, Alabama, Donnie Allison won a race, but the man who came across the finish line for him was Darrell Waltrip. Now we're waiting for an update on that story, on Bobby Allison, and as soon as you have it, Chuck, just bring it in.
Well, Allison stays out front, but we're watching Elliott in second. There are 5 cars in that lead lap. Elliott in second, Bonnet in third. Morgan Shepherd is fourth, fifth is Baker, and Bonnet is again reeling in Elliott while Elliott tries to run down the likes of Bobby Allison. I think we have a report coming up from the pits and Chuck Young.
I'm here with Rick Wilson. We're going to do a quick thing. Ricky blew up off the wall, huh?
Yeah, sure did. Let loose going in turn 3 and got the hole back into it.
Rick, I've heard talk that you're trying to drum up some good sponsorship and run full time here on the Grand National Circuit.
That's right. We were on the verge. We hadn't really got nobody signed down yet, but we're getting close.
Good luck to you. Rick Wilson there from Bartow, Florida.
It is 3.4 seconds between first and second between Allison and Elliott. It is 4.2 between the leader, Allison, and the third place car, Neil Bonnet. I'm sure many racing enthusiasts who follow this will be interested in knowing where Buddy Baker sits in all of this, and we'll give you that story in just a moment. Allison is back to the line, completing the 258th lap. And as he does, Buddy Baker comes out of turn number 4, and the interval back to Baker stands at 5.8 seconds. Now remember, we have, at this time, 5 cars in the lead lap. They are Allison running out in front, then Bill Elliott in second, Neil Bonnet in third. So you have a Buick in front, then you have a Ford running second and third, followed by the car number 98 of Morgan Shepherd, which is the Levi Garrett Buick. In fifth is the car number 1, which is another Buick, the Uno Buick for Buddy Baker. The Fords are still in there, but right now the car with the handle, with everything working well, is Bobby Allison's machine. The lap speeds stay at about 156 miles per hour. Our statistician, Bob Lafford, will check that out again for us and see if Allison has turned the wick up or brought her down just a little, Bill Cannell.
Well, I think Dale Earnhardt will be one of the top candidates for the Goodies Headache of the Year Award for this afternoon because of overheating problems when he was on pit road. What a race he has run, all 3 of these Ford drivers. And now it's left up to Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott to represent the Ford Motor Company, and they're doing that well right now in second and third position.
Chuck Young is down in the Bobby Allison pits to find out about the physical condition of the Daytona and the Dover Delaware champion this year.
Well, the heat is starting to take its toll. Gary Nelson is here with me, crew chief for the Gatorade car. How's Bobby feeling? How's the fumes in the cockpit?
Well, the fumes are getting a little bad at first. We put a bigger air duct on the side window of the car, and Bobby seems to think that's okay. I'm not really too worried about that at the moment. We're sorting out our chassis. It was working real well. Then it seemed to go away. I think we've got it back now where it should be.
Are your tires that you pulled off any earlier stops going back on the car?
Yes, just about all of our stops now. We're running back older tires. The worst first we ran was with new tires on the car.
You had Donnie Allison in your pit a moment ago, and he's just showing back up. Will you put Donnie in the car? Do you have any idea yet?
Well, we don't have any plan on putting Donnie in the car. Bobby's doing real well right now. But on a day this hot, with all the other problems we've been having, it's not a bad idea to have a good backup driver.
Gary, are you watching the fuel mileage on the Fords and comparing them with your mileage?
Yeah, these Fords are really getting some varied fuel mileage. It looked like 2 of them stopped 10 laps sooner than the third one. I really didn't understand that.
264 laps are now complete. That was Nelson, crew chief, on car number 88. And the concern over Bobby Allison may have been needless at the present time. We'll stand by, though, and follow that story. Donnie Allison, who won this race in 1970, after starting in the 9th position, had relief that year from Leroy Yarborough to pull it all off. Right now, Bobby Allison has this 3 to 4 second advantage over the 2nd and 3rd place cars.
That was when we had the Horseshoe Roses over Victory Circle at Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Rock Mountain setting out here in the infield, which we have no more, Ken.
But they have the most gorgeous victory lane of any racetrack we have ever seen. Here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, there are some 130,000 fans gathered today. If you're just joining us, there have been 7 caution periods, 48 laps thus far in the race. There have been 40 lead changes among 12 drivers, and that 12 drivers ties the record for lead changes in this event. That is a tie for the record as far as drivers out in front in the World 600. The retirees continue to build up, and we'll have an update very shortly from the pits on those that have fallen by the wayside here in the 23rd running of the World 600. It right now is Bobby Allison in first. Dawsonville, Georgia's Elliott comes across the line in second, and he is beginning to be shadowed by number 21. Again, the Wood brothers, Warner Hodgson, Ford automobile. Maroon, white, and gold car closes on the red and white number 9 as they head down the back straightaway. We're about 2/3 of the way in the World 600 today. The lead car still is Allison. Can he hold on? Can he become the 3rd man to win this race 3 times?
Right now, he's flawless on the racetrack. He's just picking off traffic, lap by lap, car by car, as he manipulates the 1.5 miles, comes off the 30 or the 27-degree banking, and then down into the straightaway.
Phil Cannell, what about the standings on that pit stop contest?
Well, it's Ricky Rudd's crew has taken over command. They're out front at this moment. Bill Elliott and his crew has dropped to 2nd for the Melling Tool folks. 3rd is Cale Yarborough's crew. That's the way it stands at this moment. And the lead crew right now, Ricky Rudd, and they're looking at $2,100 for this race if they can stay there. But Bill Elliott's crew would like to win it.
267 laps, 400 miles have been completed in the World 600 here at Charlotte, North Carolina. This whole city becomes a festival. They've had a wonderful time for some 20 days. They've had sports car racing. We saw Michael Andretti here 3 or 4 days ago in Victory Lane, and we saw one of the great lightweight fighters of America, Bernard Taylor, right here at the start-finish line, show his expertise against a fighter from south of the border and took him out in 8 rounds as the BT Express looked very good here. They had a big amateur card before this event. They had a great Camel GT race. We'll give you some results on that later on.
Well, John Paul and John Paul Sr. were the winners of that Camel GT race, but also we had the national football champs, the Clemson Tigers, who played football right here this morning in a pre-race pageantry. So it's been
and they lost.
They lost? Oh, I didn't know
they were whipped. It was the U.S. Army team, right? U.S. National Championship Touch Team, which was a military team at one time, as I understand.
From up in Ohio or somewhere,
well,
right?
Anyway, they all looked like they were bruisers out of a Marine platoon. And last I knew it was about 19-0. Then we had to get busy with the race. And the race right now is getting busy with Bobby Allison in first, Elliott trying to close, and picking up on him ever so gradually is the Neil Bonnet Elliott battle. That's the story we'll be following here in the next 40 or 50 miles.
Neil Bonnet has just gotten around Bill Elliott, and he has taken over the 2nd spot. So there's your battle on the speedway right now. For 2nd, as they're a little over half a straightaway, trailing your lead car, Dan Lucas, which continues to be Bobby Allison in that number 88 Gatorade car over in turn 3-4.
Well, this was billed as 20 great racing days in May, and I want to tell you, this is day 20, and it's turned out exactly like we hoped it would. It's been a beautiful sunny day out here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the World 600 is just trucking along, and we've got one race after another going out here, lap after lap.
And it's gotten better and better. Yesterday was a super competitive race, but I believe today is even more so, and frankly, I look for one of those exciting, thrilling World 600 typical finishes here, as they're going to tighten back up, I'm certain, before the afternoon's out, Dan.
Well, you know, the fabulous part about this is leading up to this 20th day with the 23rd running of the World 600, every member of this community and just about every other community around the United States has been involved, from the young kids all the way up to these race drivers. Everybody has been out here, every kind of racing, every kind of celebration has been going on with the military. You name it, it has happened in these 20 great days in May.
And it gets better every year. I don't know how they can top it next year, but you can bet that Bruton Smith, Humpy Wheeler, and all the people, Bob Latford and Slick Johnson, all the staff here in management of the Charlotte Motor Speedway are bound to cap it. Here's an announcement with one of the drivers for the U.S. Tobacco bus. Report to the bus. One of the drivers for the U.S. Tobacco Company bus. Report to the bus.
You know, and to beat it all, Hill, our fans out here are part of the largest crowd in the history of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 132,500 strong, and they're all here enjoying the race. And I'd like to say to those 132,000 fans at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, with the heat and humidity today, we'd like to caution all of you to please consume plenty of liquids. Now, I know you're consuming some kind of liquid today, but consume plenty of non-alcoholic liquids as well because of the heat and humidity.
Your attention, please. Horace Limley, call extension 238. Horace Limley, call 238.
Well, it won't be long before we come up several more times in Super Speedway competition this year.
Well, Neil Bonnet is taking the number 2 spot back over from Bill Elliott. Elliott has dropped to 3rd. He is working the draft with Bonnet around a mile and a half here at Charlotte. And Morgan Shepherd, very consistent in that 4th spot. Buddy Baker is back in 5th. All of those cars are in the lead lap, and we've got a lot of time left and a lot of miles yet to tick off here. Rusty Wallace is back down pit row, and if we get a caution and rebunch up these front 5, we could see a shootout for $500,000.
127 mile per hour average at 270 laps complete, and behind the front 5, Petty is 6th, Yarborough 7th, Waltrip 8th, Kyle Petty in 9th, with the 10th position being shown as David Pearson. The 11th position is Jody Ridley. Maintaining the 12th is the Piedmont Airlines car with Ricky Rudd, and then in the 13th is the Wrangler car. Dropping back some with heating problems is Dale Earnhardt. The 14th position is Lenny Pond. Pond several laps off, but he's still very much in there in the Cecil Gordon car. Then comes Dave Marcus in 15th, that Chrysler product. Buddy Arrington running 16th. With the 17th position now, car number 17.
We got trouble on the back straightaway. Car number 0, Del McCoward, is showing smoke as it comes down that 2,000-foot chute. He's over in the bottom of the apron of turn number 3, headed your way, Hal Hamrick.
He has that car under control, but he is going very, very slow. Of course, he spun out earlier in this race, causing one of the cautions as he spun here in the 4th turn. This might be all for Delbert today.
Number 17 is running 17th. That is Lake Speed. Lake Speed is running in the 17th position. And we'll hold it there for just a moment as we have one car by official scoring running in 2 positions at once, which is a little tricky to do. We're at 276 laps of the World 600 today. Checking further back in the field for you, the 25th position for the old Skull Bandit fans is Harry Gant. Remember, he's 8 laps down after the car swallowed a cylinder early in the going today. Car number 0 has gone back to the garage area. I think that is the 10th car out, and perhaps right now Chuck Young can update you on the attrition as we watch 15 Earnhardt come back in the pits. The heating problem on the Bud Moore car, the Wrangler car catching up with it some. Also the Apache Stove 02 car that Mark Martin is in. Meanwhile, Chuck Young, what do you have for us on attrition?
Well, as we watch the Wrangler team putting the water in the engine compartment of Earnhardt's machine, 10 cars now have gone out. The first car to go out was John Anderson, car number 19. Then Tim Richmond went out as he was in a wreck when Joe Ruttman blew up. So Richmond and Ruttman are out. Steve Moore is now gone behind the wall after crashing in a little fire, and he's back out. Benny Parsons is behind the wall. Donnie Allison out. Dean Combs out. His car wouldn't handle for him. Rick Wilson blew an engine and crashed. Rusty Wallace has gone back out on the track after having engine problems. J.D. McDuffie is also back out. Now, Terry Labonte is in the truck now and out with engine problems, and now Del McCower makes it the 10th car behind the wall. 10th car, 32 cars still out on the track, and Earnhardt is also back out on the track.
The Moscow low entry, car number 32, the Klineman Buick, which has been entered by a dentist, brushing up on his pit stop work over here. He had a little problem apparently with the transmission, and he had some extra assistance to get out of the pit, 3 or 4 fellows pushing before the engine finally caught for Bosco and put him back in the race. We have 32 cars now on the track with 278 of 400 laps complete today in the World 600. Again, 7 cautions, 48 laps, and we've had 12 different drivers up on the point.
That, of course, ties the record, and one more driver or one more lead change, and we've got ourselves a new record for the World 600. 23rd annual for this event, and early this morning when all of us were leaving the hotel trying to get to the track, we have never witnessed the track traffic being backed up so far at so early of a point, and right now it's overflowing here in the stands below us. Ken, you can see there are no seats available. They're sitting on the absolute asphalt right down here on the front straightaway.
I'll tell you one thing, I was absolutely incredulous this morning. I couldn't believe the way they handled the traffic getting into this place. They had blocked off additional lanes on a 4-lane highway, and for all the traffic that was here and the immense amount of people arriving at the racetrack, I got out of here from the middle of Charlotte in about 20 minutes. I've never had that happen before. I don't know what they've done to change the traffic pattern here, but the arterial system at this racetrack is darn good.
107 North Carolina State Highway Patrolmen.
You know, I've known most of them personally at this point. I've been down here a few years. 281 laps are in the book, and we still have car number 88, the Bobby Allison car, up in first place. We're checking the interval now to see if anyone's closing in. Buddy Baker is pitting. Baker is coming in. The 5th place car, 3-time winner of the event, Baker on pit road in the Uno automobile. The Haas-Ellington crew out there. Let's go to the pits and Chuck Young.
Well, it looks like they're going to take on right side rubber on the Uno machine of Buddy Baker, as well as Union 76 racing fuel. This, we're going to check in. It should be a scheduled stops, which means we will be seeing some upcoming stops here momentarily. From our vantage point at this particular time, we cannot tell if there's any chassis change going on the car, but now he's down and away and just over 15 seconds. Back to you, Ken Squire.
Just slightly over 16, 16-2 on the watch up here for Buddy Baker back on the track, and we have a car that looks like it's expiring in turn number 1.
Lenny Pond. Okay, that is apparently Lenny Pond. He's blowing smoke out there, going very slowly, dropping to the edge of the track. It's coming out the right rear exhaust pipe. So Lenny Pond, who this afternoon has had a marginal day, has found himself now going out of the race, apparently, as he goes into turn number 3 and toward the apron.
And as Lenny Pond expires and slowly moves around on the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3, Dale Earnhardt goes back to the garage. Earnhardt has retired his automobile, so all of a sudden the engines are beginning to catch up with the competitors here. They're beginning to fail, and here comes Pond. He makes it onto pit road. What about it, Hal Hamrick, in turns 3 and 4?
It seems for the last few laps, Ken, that these cars have found new grooves to run here in 3 and 4. We've noticed them going higher and higher, and if you can look at the track, you can see those black marks. Of course, the tire marks have moved even closer within about 2 feet of that guardrail. Everyone going very smoothly through this turn, and we've noticed in the past few laps that Bill Elliott and the Neil Bonnet car are closing the gap just a little bit on Bobby Allison. I don't know whether it's Allison getting a little tired, they're getting a little more speed out of their cars, or what, but things are going smoothly down here. We will give you a little information on background on that Bill Elliott and on his racing career anytime you want it.
Now make note, Ken, that Buddy Baker was one of the first of the lead cars to come in. He was running 5th. The rest of the leaders have yet to pit. They'll have to make this pit stop. Baker could use a strategy, he and the Uno Haas-Ellington crew, and we could really have ourselves a real barn burner of a finish.
1968, 72, 73 champion Baker, the first of the group to pit, trying to become the first man in history to win this event 4 times. Buddy Baker. He is still running in the lead lap. His pit stop wasn't quite as crisp and sharp as sometimes, but remember, they've been out here working under these excessive temperatures for over 3 hours in this World 600, and you can't expect them to be quite that crisp and sharp at this point in the race.
Question is, those drivers, can they maintain this pace? Allison continues to reel off these very, very good laps. And we'll have another report for you from the Allison pits as to his condition within the next 15 minutes. Allison leading, but now in second place is Neil Bonnet, and in third is Dawsonville, Georgia's Bill Elliott.
Bobby Allison is about to pick up another $500, Ken Squires, because we're about to run lap 287.
Oh, there it is, and we have another man pitting. Second place is in. Down pit road comes number 21, Neil Bonnet. Pulling to a halt, gets it in perfectly, doesn't overshoot his pits. What about it, Chuck Young?
Earnhardt sitting in the car is just getting unbuckled. Pretty warm out there today, isn't it, Dale?
That's not too bad. My car's running real good. I reckon when you're running good, you don't think about how hot it is.
Well, you were definitely flying out there. You and Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott really had the Ford smoking, and then you developed, what, a cracked head or something? Looked like you had to put a lot of water in the car.
I started overheating, so we cooled it down and run pretty good there for a while, and then started, heating up again, so we had to finally park it.
That's Dale Earnhardt, driver of the Wrangler machine, and he's been one tough customer. We'll be with Bobby Allison pit momentarily.
287 laps are complete. Shortly, the leaders will all be pitting. Neil Bonnet back into it once again. After 287 laps, it's Bobby Allison in the lead. We'll pause for a 2-minute break for our local stations. This is the Performance Racing Network.
Attention, please. Wanda Cathy, call home immediately. Wanda Cathy, call home immediately. Tom Dowry, Dennis Cassidy, or Hal Scott, pick up your wives at the Cabarrus Memorial Hospital. And Wes Harris, call extension 228. Wes Harris, call extension 228. Well, Jerry Punch, what do you think so far?
Well, it's been an action-packed afternoon, of course, here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're showing 288 laps are in the books of the 400 laps which comprise the World 600. A good afternoon and a good run for Bobby Allison. He picked up just where he left off 2 weeks ago up at Dover, Delaware, when Allison really took control and commanded. He dominated the Mason-Dixon 500 up at Dover Downs International Raceway. A good run for the Gatorade colors here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and a good run. You got to give a call to the young Dawsonville, Georgia driver, Bill Elliott. The Melling Tool Company people sponsoring that young driver as he's making his move on the Winston Cup Grand National Tour. And Bill Elliott is presently being shown in second spot here at Charlotte after 290 laps. A good run for the young driver out of Georgia.
And the Ford people are absolutely delighted this afternoon, but what a disappointment. Dale Earnhardt, who ran so well up there, Jerry, and had all the punch going for him. Then he came down with a couple of tires that were giving him some problems, and he backed off the pace just a little bit, came down, made his scheduled pit stop. He changed those tires, got back out there, right back out in front, and then all of a sudden, bingo, he had radiator problems, and he's out of the race now, back in the garage.
Well, if anyone has a headache that needs a Goody headache powder or Goody's headache tablet, it's got to be Dale Earnhardt. What a tremendous afternoon for the young driver running here in the Wrangler colors, and Wrangler's got to be awfully pleased with the way he showed that car up front through most of the early stages of their race, and what an effort he gave pushing that Ford up to the front. What a good day for the Fords. What can you say?
Well, you can't say much about it. I know the Ford people are saying it's just absolutely beautiful. They not only had 3 Fords up front, they brought along their spokesman Telly Savalas to the race today. Everything has been happening for them, and of course, still in the lead lap, we've still got 2 Fords running up there. We want our fans to know also that Richard the King Petty is right up there in the lead lap now, and he's on the scoreboard in position number 5.
Well, these are scheduled pit stops here on lap 292. Kyle Petty is down pit road in the STP Pontiac. Mike Beam and the crew are going to work on the Petty car. Here is Father Richard Petty. As the crew are ready for Richard to come in, they will check Richard, probably change right side tires on Richard as well. The crew are working on both of the Petty cars, the tandem of STP colors on pit road. Ronnie Bouchard in for service. The crew chief on that car, Bob Johnson, owned by Jack Beebe. They work very quickly on the Bouchard car, sponsored by J.D. Stacy. 293 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway of the 400, which comprise the World 600.
No one has ever retained. The lead has been swapped among a dozen drivers, and we're watching Jeff Bodine at this moment come back out in that white, red numeral, blue-trimmed Cliff Stewart automobile, and that car, has been trimmed. They have taken the clippers to it,
tried to straighten out the sheet metal to some degree before they bring it back out, but it has hammered the wall. The front end is slightly torn up on it. Back on the track, however, Bodine.
A lot of leaders are in the pits, too, Ken. Marcus is there. He's getting fresh right side rubber. There's Ricky Rudd, the Piedmont Airlines pacemaker automobile, and Junie Donlevy's car with Jody Ridley at the keyboard of the car number 90 as we watch that scoreboard shuffle around the front 5 leaders. And Baker, by making that first pit stop, will be easing his way up because the other leaders are yet to pit.
Morgan
on it, but he did hold on to that car, pulled it down to the inside. Meantime, the David Pearson car was almost into it. Also, he went on down pit road for a pit stop, but he's going now with car number 71 of Dave Marcus.
David Pearson on pit road at this moment. In this tremendous heat, the 03 Pearson, the grand man of stock car racing, taking on right side rubber. It's really hot here. Some of these drivers have already sought relief. David Pearson, have you thought about it?
Well, I think so, too. You know, every race you go to, especially in the hot summertime. And I don't guess they've had a race here yet that hadn't had somebody that had to have a relief. But I'm not figuring on having one right now. I don't know. I might have to have one. I haven't. It's been a long time since I've run 600 miles. But if I don't make it, I won't make it. I'll put somebody else in the car. But right now, I'm planning on going all the way.
And he is running in 10th position at the present time, David Pearson.
Bill Elliott's on pit row in the car number 9 out of Dawsonville, Georgia. Regular scheduled pit stop for Bill. But we've got an estimate on the crowd, Ken, from the track officials and the North Carolina Highway Patrol. 132,005 is the estimated. Boy, oh boy, what a crowd here at Charlotte.
The pit stop on Elliott is a slow one. It's at 16.8, Bill Cannell. We were talking just a moment ago that top race of all time here in 1980 when 12 different drivers shared the lead, and they had 47 lead changes in that one, which was decided, as you'll recall, after some weather situations between Benny Parsons and Darrell Waltrip in favor of Benny Parsons, and not by very much at the finish line. Back to the finish line, 88 Allison continuing to lead this event. Everybody else is pitted. Question is, when will Allison give it a shot? And it's right now. Allison pulls off turn number 4. He's going by Jimmy Means as he slows to pit. And let's go to the pits and Chuck Young.
All the Gatorade crew now going around outside, right side tires going. Now Gary Nelson hands the hose pipe to Bobby Allison. He puts the hose pipe in his driving suit and is dousing himself heavily with good cold water. They're wiping the windscreen off as well as the front screens over the radiator, getting ready to go back into the wars as they completely soak Bobby's back all down, and they're down and away. I did not see any chassis adjustments, so they took on right side tires, fuel and water for the driver, and they're back in the war.
17.3 seconds to stop on Allison, so he gives up a little time on that pit stop.
Only 99 laps remain to make the World 600 a history maker. There's no doubt about it. We've tied the lap, of course, the lead. If we have one more new leader, we'll, of course, have a new record for this 600-mile event and $500,000.
By my lights, we have car number 21 now leading the event, and challenging him for first place is Bill Elliott. Then a quarter of a second back in third spot is car number 88. We have 3 cars battling for the lead, and right now, Elliott's making a move to take over first place. Still another time. Bill Elliott, who earlier today led the World 600 for the first time in his racing career, is back in front of turn number 1.
And through turns 1 and 2, Bill Elliott, the young man who's impressing everybody with each race, has now pulled away to about a 3-car length lead. But Bobby Allison is getting back up in there, and he's closing in behind Neil Bonnet.
The Dawsonville driver really putting on the cold down that back straightaway. He gets about 3 or 4 5-car lengths, and now Neil Bonnet starts reeling him in, and coming in strong is the Bobby Allison machine as they come out of the 4th turn.
Down they come, completing lap 303 of 400. It is Elliott in first, Bonnet in second, trying to regain some ground, and here comes
was the one that almost got into that turn number 21, but he moved around him very well, and everything settled. But there is a little bit of a problem here in this 4th turn, rather. Evidently getting up higher has caused a little more problem for these cars, and they are sort of squirrely here in this 4th turn.
Jeff Bodine having some problems in turn 4. We're going to take a 70-second pause now for station identification and an opportunity for the local stations to pass along some messages. This is the Performance Racing Network.
Well, here we are, 304 laps down, and the race within a race down on the pit crews at the 3-quarter mark after 7 pit stops. Ricky Rudd's crew leads Bill Elliott's crew by 9.34 seconds. Cale Yarborough's team with 8 stops is 38.34 seconds behind in third place. Total pit time for Elliott's 7 pit stops is 5 minutes 30.83 seconds. And Jerry, down there in the pits, as we've said before, is where this race could be won this afternoon.
Well, it's true, Dan. The work done down in the trenches is very important to what happens on the Speedway. And, of course, a very good pit stop just at that point for Cale Yarborough. Tim Brewer and the crew, the MC Anderson crew, and the Valvoline Buick doing a good job to change right side rubber for Cale Yarborough and get him back in the fracas here, showing 306 laps. Good action here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're showing a leader, car number 9, the young driver out of Dawsonville, Georgia, Bill Elliott, doing a masterful job here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, being chased by the Hueytown, Alabama gang, sort of a Hueytown hustle back in second and third spot as Neil Bonnet and Bobby Allison run second and third. Allison falling back a little bit, but Bonnet makes a move to the inside up in turn 4, falls back in line behind Bill Elliott as they run 1-2 across the stripe.
Well, this has been an exciting day. Nobody has been out for a Sunday drive today. We have had a race every single solitary lap here in this 23rd running of this fabulous World 600, the fastest ever with a record crowd of 132,500. And right now, Jerry, we're on one of those bonus laps for the 7-Eleven Super Lapper money, $500 going out.
Well, Bill Elliott may be young, but he's not inexperienced. He knows what he's doing. He just picked up $500 from Southland Industries, folks, and here he comes again, 308 laps. He leads about 4 or 5 more laps. It'll be 311. He'll pick up another $500 put up by the 7-Eleven folks. And Bill Elliott, currently your leader here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
July 4th at the Carolina Jamboree Park.
We'd like to pass this word along to our fans out there as we now have
seen program with Elliott. His brothers are part of his pit crew, and let's check in with Chuck Young and see how they're doing in the pit stop contest today.
Currently, as they have basically all afternoon, it's been a 2-car battle for this Ingersoll Rand Pit Crew Championship between Bill Elliott, his team is crewed by his brother Ernie and other brother Dan, and also the Ricky Rudd automobile that's owned by Richard Childress, sponsored by Piedmont Airlines. These 2 cars are within about 1/10 of a second of each other on the pit stops. Elliott's team is at 7 pit stops. Rudd has had 8 pit stops. We'll keep our eye on that and give you a further report just as soon as we get it. Right now, Mark Martin has gone behind the wall in the Apache Stove car, and we'll get a report on him momentarily.
It's 9.34 hundredths of a second, and at this moment, Ricky Rudd's crew leads Bill Elliott's crew for that 2,100
of the race, and we have now officially completed 317 of the 400 laps. 7 cautions thus far, and the story is 5 cars in the lead lap. Some of those guys may be playing it very close to the best. I think we ought to check in on that car number 98, Morgan Shepard, who started this race today, not looking as strong as he would have wished.
Well, they said he didn't have the right insulation in the sportsman car that he drove yesterday, and Kenny received a great deal, I don't know what degree of burns on his legs and ankles, which are bandaged and treated, and they put him in the car today with about an hour's sleep, and he said that hour wasn't really rest.
The 6-time Winston Cup Grand National winner, Dale Earnhardt, has had to retire his car. They were suffering some overheating problems, and he has gone out. It still is Bill Elliott's race. He stays up in front. What an upset if he can pull it all together today. Bill Elliott in car number 9. And in that second spot, car number 1. And we're watching Buddy Baker closing some ground out here. Baker continuing to be on the move. I think the crowd is beginning to respond to the fact that they may be seeing an upset in the making today.
Well, they're holding on right where they are. 320 laps gone, 80 laps remain, and here is Allison back on pit road. Now, this will be an unscheduled pit stop.
Chuck Young.
We're going down and check in just a moment on what the situation is. They are jacking up the right side of the Bobby Allison automobile, and now the hood comes up, so we'll check in with you in just a moment from their pit area.
Brother Donnie is still standing down in his pits.
So, the 1971 winner of the World 600 is now beginning to have problems with his Gatorade Buick. The hood stays up. They're going to go a lap down here, and it more and more looks like Ford is going to have its biggest day in a decade here in the World 600 today. The pit stop continuing to trickle away. It's now over 30 seconds that Allison has been put back on the track, and the report is 34 4/10 of a second.
Buddy Baker has just won a lap down to the leaders, Bill Elliott and Neil Bonnet.
So we now have 3 cars in the lead lap. Bill Elliott first, Neil Bonnet in the second position, and Morgan Shepherd in third are the 3 cars in the lead lap as Baker finally falls to the power of those 2 leaders. Bill Elliott in number 9, Neil Bonnet in the 21 Wood Brothers car.
A call's got to go down to this youngster, Bill Elliott. You've heard us talk about him all afternoon. He has been in it, the thick of it, for 600 miles, and we're getting very close to that finale. Chuck Young in the pits.
Here in the Gatorade pits, Gary Nelson talking with crew members. Gary, why the last stop?
We're starting to lose oil pressure. We added a little oil. I hope that'll cure it.
Is this from the pinhole leak in your cooler earlier?
Apparently.
That's Gary Nelson here in the Gatorade pits. We'll be watching Bobby Allison and the Gatorade machine as they're experiencing some type of oil pressure problems.
Unofficially, he is now being shown in 4th position. We'll update the Allison story for you.
Hi, I'm Charlie Daniels.
Leaders up in turns 3 and 4. Neil Bonnet showing the way out of turn 4. Bonnet leads the way here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 323 laps are in the books, and Neil Bonnet has gone by Bill Elliott to take the lead on lap 323. And the Warner Hodgson National Engineering T-Bird. Bonnet showing the way that in turns 1 and 2. Neil Bonnet your leader. Bill Elliott rides second, and Morgan Shepherd being shown in third spot. Those 3 cars all in the same lap. 1 lap in arrears, Charlotte, North Carolina driver, the Uno International Games Jolly Rancher Candy Buick of Buddy Baker.
These drivers are absolutely incredible with their stamina, Jerry. It's been reported that Morgan Shepherd, who suffered what you call floorboard burns yesterday on a very hot day running the Mellow Yellow 300, did not get any sleep last night, is out here running this race. One of the drivers said in the garage area before the race even started today, he doubted if Morgan Shepherd would even last an hour out on this racetrack. Look at Dale Earnhardt, who came out here and ran an incredible race this afternoon until he had heating problems. Ran yesterday, looked great in that race, went out last night, raced at the Concord Motor Speedway, and then came back here today and was out and was running right up in front, boy, just putting the power to it all the way around until he had automobile problems. So the stamina of these drivers is incredible, considering the humidity and the heat close to 90 degrees today at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And one driver who's had his problems today is back on the Speedway. That's the 02 of Mark Martin out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, the Apache Stove Pontiac. So Mark Martin goes back into the World 600 at the 325 lap mark. A good run this afternoon for the young Ford drivers, Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott. 2 young drivers out of the southeastern United States. Of course, Elliott out of Dawsonville, Georgia, Neil Bonnet from Hueytown, Alabama.
Well, in 4th place, one of the favorites here, Buddy Baker, Jerry. Do you get the feeling that Buddy may be sitting back there in his Uno car just waiting to ambush the field out here? Here he comes back in now, and this would have to be considered an unscheduled pit stop here this afternoon. Buddy Baker in the Uno Jolly Rancher Candy Buick coming back in now. They're giving him a new set of tires. Obviously, he wasn't satisfied with that set of tires they just put on the side of that car, and he'll be back out here in just a second. But that's going to make it a whole different race here. And guess who showed up in the top 5 positions here this afternoon? Just laid back there for a while, was running a little slow near the beginning of the race, and all of a sudden, bingo, number 11 on the scoreboard, Darrell Waltrip is right now in one of the top 5 positions.
That has been, and then hoping to drive home in this event. They're running a good, strong third. Richard Petty is being given oxygen. He is laying down in the pits at the present time, and they are administering oxygen to the 195-time winner in Grand National Automobile Racing. He was overcome by heat. He has been removed from the car. He is laying down in his pit and is being given oxygen at this time. The battle for the lead, 333 laps complete, is still very much all Ford out here today, Bill Cannell.
Certainly is, has been all afternoon, Ken. And, of course, Bonnet has picked Elliott off while we were away a while ago. There's another shot of Richard Petty as we're looking at him from down below from our vantage point here in the booth. And they are giving him oxygen, as you said. But watching Elliott, this young driver, he's young, and he and Bonnet both, I don't think the wear would be as hard as some of these older drivers, but both of them look like they're going to go the distance, and at the way they're going, 334 laps into this event, we're winding down, and I hope we may have a big shootout for that $500,000 here at Charlotte.
Well, if it is, the way it's running right now, it's going to be among the Fords. The number 98 car could break it up. That's the Levi Garrett Buick. But the Fords are running first and second as we get down toward the close. 132,000 strong here watching this World 600. We're going to give our local stations a 2-minute break for messages at this time, and then we'll be back with more of the World 600 today. This is the Performance Racing Network.
Well, Dan Lucas, 335 laps here at Charlotte Motor Speedway are gone in the 400-lap World 600, and still showing the way. That tandem of Fords, Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott showing the way. Buick rides third, the car number 98 of Morgan Shepherd out of Conover, North Carolina, the Levi Garrett Buick, and a good run for Morgan Shepherd, who's already talked about all the problems Morgan had with the heat yesterday and getting his feet burned in the sportsman car from all the heat coming back from the headers. And Morgan, you got to give a good call to Buddy Parrott and the crew prepare that Levi Garrett Buick, and a super job of driving by Morgan Shepherd. In fact, earlier in the day, Morgan Shepherd was involved in the second caution flag of the afternoon. Don't forget, when Joe Ruttman blew an engine in the Pet Dairy car up in turn 1, and he was tagged by Tim Richmond, Morgan Shepherd's windshield got cracked a little bit on the right side during that caution flag. Had a couple of pit stops down pit road. Some good work by Buddy Parrott and the crew to get that car back on the speedway without losing a lap. Even under the caution, they worked very hard on that car, and you got to give a good call to Morgan Shepherd for the kind of job he's done here. Shepherd rides third in the same lap with Bonnet and Elliott.
You know, what a great crew that is, too, Jerry. They're right here at the Speedway, the Morgan Shepherd crew with Buddy Parrott right up there on top. And, you know, just another question of how great these people are in this business of motorsport racing here and NASCAR racing. You come to this racetrack, and Buddy Parrott is never too busy to take you all through that garage, explain everything that's happening, and he brags about his crew, and he brags about their effort, and all the way down to the last man on that crew back in that garage. A fabulous bunch of people, and once again, Morgan Shepherd, who has had problems all day today, he started out with him with those burns from yesterday, running a great race here today. It's a hot day, and much of that heat is being put on by those Fords out in front. Of course, Neil Bonnet, number 21, and Elliott out there at number 9, and the Fords have been putting the heat on all afternoon here at this 23rd running of the World 600.
Well, that's very true, and here's Neil Bonnet about to come by and pick up $500 more from the Southland Industries folks, Southland Corporation. The fine folks at 7-Eleven will just hand Neil Bonnet another check for $500 on lap 337 it was last time by. The scoreboard now has changed, so Neil Bonnet doing very, very well leading up front. A couple of cars getting very close down in turns 1 and 2 as the race continues to wind down, and the attrition rate continues to grow as the heat takes its toll on some of the engines here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
In car number 6, and just recently we saw Richard Petty replaced by Lenny Pond.
And Tim Richmond is standing by. He may be going to go in the car for Kyle Petty. I wouldn't think so for Kyle. Lenny Pond is having a hard time reaching the pedals in Petty's car.
340 laps are now complete. Neil Bonnet seeking his first victory since November when he won the Atlanta race, that event at Atlanta, Georgia last November. He has gone scoreless as far as victory lane is concerned. He now is in a position to take it home. But there's a young man with upset written all over him. That's Elliott in car number 9, who stays right there. And if he has anything more to deliver, he will probably do so in the next, well, I would say at the end of the next 40 miles. He'll just hang on and hold on. We have one more pit stop to be made if it stays in a green condition. All important. So those pit stops that we've been reporting on, that Bill Cannell has been updating you on throughout the afternoon, will begin to be very serious. And now we're seeing a lot of erraticism up there in turns 3 and 4, as well as 1 and 2. First from Hal Hamrick. It looks to us like the cars are beginning to dart and dive a lot more than they were earlier, Hal.
They definitely are. We've been trying to figure out just exactly what the problem is. We have noticed that the cars have been going higher in the turn. They moved up about a car width and a half from where they were running, some of them moving even higher than that. It could be that there is a little bit of a bump in the track coming at that particular point. However, it doesn't look that way. It just seems that they are a little more erratic coming to this turn. It might be after a long afternoon, the cars are just not handling as well as they did earlier in the race. We'll keep an eye on it and fill you in on the story.
Neil Bonnet, seeking his 11th Winston Cup Grand National victory, continues to hurdle around these high banks in that Warner Hodgson Wood Brothers number 21. The laps trickling away, staying with him, pace for pace, lap for lap is car number 9. Jim C. turns 1 and 2. Does anyone look really squirrely up there?
Oddly enough, the most squirrely-looking situation I've seen in the past few laps was that of Neil Bonnet. He seems to be slipping just a bit high, but overall, I think the track condition is okay. Now, I think we could relate this very similarly to anybody driving a car for a long distance. After a while, you start losing concentration, even though you may be trying as hard as you can and trying to keep your mind on exactly what you're doing. After a while, you start relaxing a little bit too much. But here, it is not on any racetrack paid to relax too much. But otherwise, I don't see any real problem.
Neil Bonnet is lapping the third-place automobile. Going down 1 lap, Morgan Shepherd in the Levi Garrett car as Bonnet continues to draw away. And now he is also drawing away somewhat from the second-place car. Neil Bonnet is beginning to build up a bit of a lead. Here's Bonnet in the back straightaway. H.B. Bailey back on pit road for an extended stay back in. The race now at 132.039 mile per hour. 132.039 through 340 of the 400 laps. Will Neil Bonnet win his 11th Winston Cup Grand National race today? That's the question, if the car can hang together. Jim C. was just reporting that the one car which is looking slightly out of shape now and then in turns 1 and 2 is that car number 21, as Bonnet continues to dig into this race and try to draw away from his nemesis, car number 9, young Bill Elliott, striving for his first Grand National career victory.
Well, we understand that Mr. D. Wood up in Danville, Virginia, has had his tickets for this event year after year and hadn't missed it, could not make it down. We want to say hello to him. He was involved in a traffic accident and was laid up. Mr. Woods, we hope you'll be back at Charlotte with us in October and again for the World 600 in 1983. Also, we were supposed to remind everybody the Dean Combs car was being sponsored, and I believe one of the other guys in the press box told us this yesterday, by the people that are away at summer camp or something near Fort Jackson or somewhere down south of the state, but hello to everybody down there.
Kyle Petty is in pits. Let's go to Chuck Young.
They are going for a driver change now. We see that Kyle Petty's car has come in. They're jacking up the right side of the car. Also, here's Bonnet getting ready to come in. Here is your leader down pit road, Neil Bonnet, and the Warner Hodgson automobile. We'll keep an eye on that. Also, Tim Richmond is climbing in Kyle Petty's car. We will get an update on that. And let's go back to the Tower Ford Neil Bonnet's pit stop.
Bill Elliott is now the leader. Elliott goes into first. Left side rubber on car number 21. They're filling one gas can full. Now the second one. Bonnet is down. He is away. It's an excellent pit stop. It's 13 5/10 of a second for Neil Bonnet back in the race. Well, now Bill Elliott's crew knows they've got their work cut out for them. 347 laps are gone. 400 laps will make the distance of 600 miles. And we look at Kyle Petty down from our observation. He is very weak, and the heat has gotten to that young gentleman. And they're having trouble starting the car. Finally, they're pushing it away. Tim Richmond at the controls. It's a 5-man push to get that car lumbering once again, but the STP colors are back in the race. Standings currently. Out in front is Elliott. In the second spot remains Neil Bonnet. In third is Morgan Shepherd. The fourth position is Darrell Waltrip. Fifth is Bobby Allison. Then a lap down from them is car number 27, Cale Yarborough, in sixth. Here is Elliott across the line. Now positioning Bonnet's position around this 1.5 miles. There is quite a bit of separation because Bonnet has made his last pit stop. Bill Elliott will have to do that, and I'm wondering what the Elliott's crew's strategy will be. Seventh is the TZAC car number 1, the Uno International Games car, Buddy Baker. Eighth is Jody Ridley. Going ninth is Ricky Rudd, and 10th is David Pearson. Pearson still staying in there in that Chattanooga Chew car. The 11th place had been Kyle Petty. Now, he's been in for a couple of laps with this driver change, so Richard Petty, with a new driver aboard. Lenny Pond has picked up 11th. Kyle has dropped back to at least 12th. Again, there have been 7 cautions in the race for a total of 48 laps. The whole story boils down to the Fords this afternoon, and now do they have the staying power to plank themselves in victory lane at the World 600.
Separation between first and second, 25.2 seconds. If Elliott's crew can make a quick pit stop, and a quick one it'll have to be, it is really going to be a battle to the wire.
Ron Bouchard back on pit road another time with the Jack Beebe automobile. So, after 350 laps in the World 600, it's Bill Elliott in the lead. This is the Performance Racing Network.
A little over 350 laps called in the World 600. About 75 miles remaining here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And what an afternoon and what a run for the young driver, Bill Elliott, in the Melling Tool Company colors and that Ford Thunderbird. A couple of Fords and a good run for Ford here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Well, 42 and 43, the famous Petty team. The cars are on the road right now, Jerry, but Lenny Pond is in car number 43, and, of course, Tim Richmond, who was involved in that early wreck this afternoon, who is a member of the J.D. Stacy stable, is now driving number 42, and he filled in for Kyle. Both the Pettys were suffering from heat exhaustion. They're in their own pits right now taking oxygen. Richard has been down for a while over there taking oxygen, and we hear he's all right. He's just really exhausted, and a lot of that is going on right now. And here we are now with 49 laps to go, and that heat exhaustion right at this stage could begin to take its toll, because I noticed that some of the announcers up in the turns are saying going into turn 1 or coming into turn 3 and 4, the drivers are beginning to get just a little erratic out there. So let's hang on, though, folks, because now is the time that the strategy begins in the race with the pit stops, and they becoming very, very important. That number 9 Elliott car out in front, that Ford blazing the way. Right behind him, the youngest member of the Alabama team in car number 21, Neil Bonnet, and Morgan Shepherd running number 3, Darrell Waltrip running in 4th, and, of course, Bobby Allison running in 5th place right now, and that's the way it stands here in the 23rd running of the World 600.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, Dan Lucas, what happens when Bill Elliott comes for his final pit stops, because Neil Bonnet has already made his final stop. He made it with about 55, 57 laps to go. He should be able to go the rest of the way, providing nothing else happens. Of course, anything can happen between now and 400 laps, but yet to come in, your leader, car number 9, Bill Elliott.
Yet to come in, that's right, and I think that's what Neil is depending on right now, and he knows once he gets back up in there that he's going to get that distance on him and everything is going to go right. But the way the pit crews have been really working out there today, anything could happen, because they have been absolutely sensational. They've been throwing tires around that pit road like it was going out of style. I've never seen an operation like this in any race, but of course that's Ingersoll Rand money out there, and they really want this race bad.
Place, and Bobby in 5th, but of course the last 3 are 1 lap down. So it looks right at the present time between Bill Elliott and Neil Bonnet. And I think it's really, as I said before, really a great race, Like.
Well, Winston Cup Series has been part of another record. And here we got an accident on the back. We'll go back to you, Ken Squires. Thank you, Jerry.
Trouble in turn number 2. Trouble in turn 2. What a break for Bill Elliott. He'll be able to pit here under a caution condition. What a break for Elliott.
Waltrip smacked a wall out of turn number 2, Ken, and he got loose. Jim C., did you see the accident?
I saw him just as he started spinning. He did trip up on the wall, and he turned it around a couple times and comes to rest at the bottom of the track. Don't know how much damage he did because he's pretty well blocked. And now there's more trouble down on turn 3, going into number 3, and that is David Pearson. And the other, you have to pick that up. He's a little blocked off of me.
That is Pearson's car, which is spun. It has come to a rest just down on the inside of the 3rd turn. What about it, Hal Hamrick?
It was David Pearson. That's the car that's down on the inside on the 3rd turn. The other car involved was the car number 72 who's going down pit road now. That's Rusty Wallace. Those are the 2 cars. Evidently, they were watching back through that rear view mirror, and those 2 cars got together. Now Pearson has got his car started, and he's moving out from that 3rd turn, but has brought a caution back out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Let's go to the pits with Chuck Young. The leader is in.
Bill Elliott has brought the milling tool machine in as we watch the crew go to work on the cars. The right side comes up. Also, Morgan Shepherd is in the Levi Garrett car, and we'll have a report from the pits of Bill Elliott here momentarily.
Well, they're taking on 4 tires, topping that takeoff to the T on Elliott's car. And as Ken said, what a break for Bill Elliott, because Bonnet had to pit under green. It is going to be a shootout to the wire. There's Pearson.
David Pearson has come back into pits in car number 03 after a skirmish going down the back straightaway. Pearson
to get that service done on the car. They want to make sure they get it right, because this time they're setting up for a dash to the finish. And now here is Neil Bonnet, the adversary in this battle of 2 that goes down to the wire here, getting his service. Cale Yarborough also in.
They're going to set these cars up. They're going to get the tires on and stuff they want to finish the races now. They're getting down to the wire, and they could probably finish this thing, and they're going to try the best.
Well, again, a problem for Cale Yarborough as he tries to get around the Piedmont Pontiac of Ricky Rudd. He got hung up on a tire there for a moment. Remember, Cale's a lap down, and now here's another driver change on the 43 car. Donnie Allison going in, Lenny Pond getting out. You don't see Darrell Waltrip up on the hook very often, but that's going to be a good break for Terry Labonte. You'll recall that he went out earlier. He is the point leader. Waltrip had the opportunity to seize the lead, but now he's crashed that away.
I'll tell you, that petty car is kind of musical chairs, and that's like putting one short midget in for a tall midget.
You betcha. They'll be back here at Charlotte Motor Speedway October 10th for the National 500. This same kind of action repeating itself in the fall. We're set for a restart. This one is setting up for a two-man shootout to the finish here. Bill Elliott brings it down for the green flag. He has it, and we're back underway. Elliott the leader. Bonnet in tow. Cars have been tuned and set and adjusted for the final time. This one is going to come down to a two-car battle right to the wire. There are the two men who figure to the end. Elliott, what an opportunity here to carve a name for himself in the Grand National Record Book. Bonnet has never won the Charlotte race, driving for a team that's been a dominant force here, the Wood brothers. It's just a classic matchup of the young kid and the experienced veteran. Regardless of how this one turns out, it's going to be a great story and a great finish. Let's find out more now about that musical chairs game in the Petty pit. Charlie Harville is with Lenny Pond, who just climbed out of Richard's car.
I'm in the Richard Petty pit with Lenny Pond, who rolled very briefly for Petty. What happened, Lenny?
Well, Charlie, Richard got too hot and needed somebody pretty quick, and I was out, so I went down and got in and run, but I'm so short I couldn't reach any of the pedals, and I never could open the gas all the way up because I just couldn't stretch it far. So I just ran long enough for him to find somebody else that could reach the pedals.
Conditions are very warm out there.
Well, it is. It's real hot out here today. Well, you know, I think I could have ran if I could have just reached the pedals for him, but...
You're going to have a lead change.
No, Seth. I could reach the steering wheel and have the steering wheel good, and the car was driving good. I just couldn't mash the gas all the way down, and I never did mash it over two-thirds the way down, so I just had to do it till they could get somebody who could reach it.
That's Lenny Pond driving relief very briefly for Richard Petty. Back to you, Dave.
One thing for sure, in this World 600, you got to be able to get that pedal to the metal, and Lenny didn't have quite enough right leg to do that. Here's the battle for the lead. It is Bill Elliott leading Neil Bonnet across the start-finish line. This one is coming down to a finish. It looks like a classic two-car shootout in the great tradition of Winston Cup stock car competition. Elliott leads it off turn 2, opens up a couple of car lengths of separation over Bonnet, and they're really starting to feel one another out now, Dick.
They sure are. I think Bonnet, I don't know if Bonnet can really do that much with him or not, but I think he's trying to find if he's got any weak points, if he can do anything.
Oh, here's
we got a caution on the track.
Brad Teague has blown an engine. That's going to bring out a yellow flag. And lo and behold, this race, which started out to be a 600-mile grind, looks like it's going to boil down to a 20-lap trophy dash style shootout. They've got one last opportunity now to put the final tweak and tune on these cars and set her up for a finish. Charlie Harville is with Neil Bonnet's crew chief to find out about late race strategy.
Leonard Wood here in the number 21 pits. Leonard, what's the strategy from here on out?
Well, it's just basically, just run and kind of watch how the leader does and see if we can get in front of him and stay there.
Have you got good tires on the car now?
Yes, new tires on it now, but sometimes some runs a little better than the others, so I just hope we got a good set.
This becomes a sprint race now.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thanks very much, Leonard.
Thank you.
All right, they're setting up now for a finish here. The field under yellow. Here's the way they're running. Morgan Shepherd looking strong in that third spot. He scrambled back into third after falling way downfield. Allison is still there. Yarborough, Baker, stars of the game doing business. As we prepare for the restart here, they will send this field off before a crowd of 135,000 fans looking for what could be one of the best finishes in Charlotte history. They're back underway with Bill Elliott leading Neil Bonnet down to turn 1. Elliott, what a moment. All these fans, all
all this excitement, all that money, biggest race of his career, and he is certainly measuring up here today as he does battle with all the superstars of the stock car racing game. He's pulling away from Neil Bonnet as they work down the backstretch. Look at that crowd, Dick.
Yeah, Bonnet tried a good move there on the start, and he couldn't make it. There was a slower car in the way, and he couldn't make the move. And by the time he got back up in the groove, he had fell back just a little bit. But I think he's been pulling up all right in the user draft and stuff, and he can pull up on Elliott. He just can't seem to get by him. And I think he'll be back up on him in a minute.
Oh, look at this, a problem for Morgan Shepherd. What a bad break. Running third, he's blown the engine, and he's out of it. Well, I tell you what, if you like this action that we've seen today, this field's going to Pocono.
We're back at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This 400-lap, 600-mile grind has come down to a 22-lap sprint, the equivalent of a 100-yard dash in stock car racing. Bill Elliott comes out of the blocks first. He's got Neil Bonnet on his tail as they move to turn one. Strategy now is pretty easy to figure out, huh, Dick?
Well, just try to keep in the groove, stay as low as it can, keep the car a good tight bite, don't slip up none, and I believe he can pull it off. I'll tell you, he's been that way all along, and I'll tell you, I don't like to pick favorites. I'm sure I ain't big against anybody else, but I kind of like to see him do it.
I'll tell you what, the young kid's got a whole mirror full of Neil Bonnet right here. The pressure, just intense, incredible. Bill Elliott, the leader, has never won a Grand National stock car race. He's been trying for 3 years now. He's got a good program together. He's got the Melling Tool Company backing him. It really looks like that effort is coming together. What a name he could make for himself right here. He can pull off a victory over Neil Bonnet in the World 600. The lap's beginning to wind down as Elliott sees Bonnet all over his back bumper. The rest of the field still scrambling for positions in this $450,000 battle. And look at Bonnet. Is he pushing the kid around?
Yes, he is. He's sitting right on his bumper, but I tell you, he's not doing much to him. Elliott ain't slipped none yet. He just hanging in there just as best as he can. And I'll tell you, he's been around a lot of short tracks and stuff, and that's where you get the experience for this type of stuff anyway, especially when the track gets hot and slick, and he's just as smooth as glass.
North Carolina, of course, the hotbed of stock car racing, and this race has come down to a battle between an Alabama driver and a young kid from North Georgia. But really, this is where the action is. Dick, you moved here from Porterville, California to open up your Honda store over in Albemarle. What is it about North Carolina that's so appealing?
Yeah, if you're going to drive race cars or sell Hondas, I guess this is North Carolina's place to do it.
In turn 4, here's the action as Bonnet comes to the inside. He's trying to put the move on Bill Elliott. They're side by side as they go to turn 1. Bonnet's got the line. Bonnet makes the pass.
Yeah, it's really a shame. Bill went at the third turn, and there was some traffic there, another car, and he let him slide. Now look what Bobby's doing to him. Just kind of pushed him up out of there. Elliott ought to give him a little fender, I believe. Give him a little shot in the door there and say, hey, partner, we're trying to do the best we can here.
Here's Elliott shoving his way right back around Bobby Allison to reassert himself in that number 2 position and try to get back on Bonnet's tail. Of course, Allison does have a stake in this. If he can unlap himself from Elliott and Bonnet, he's got a shot at winning the thing if there's a yellow flag that lets him catch back up. But he's really putting the hassle on this kid right here.
Elliott is strong. He's really strong. See the way he drove in the turn on him. He just caught it all. He made it all back up. He picked up a 5 or 6 car deficit right there in one lap, and now he's going to run up and push him a little bit.
Boy, he's right on the rear deck of Neil Bonnet. The kid does not want to let victory get away at this late moment in the race. Bonnet's pass of Bill Elliott equals the World 600 record for lead changes in a single race. That was the 47th lead change. One more could make Bill Elliott the winner of this thing. It is Bonnet leading Elliott with Allison a lap down. 3 cars shooting it out on the 1.5-mile super speedway at Charlotte, North Carolina. And this one has certainly lived up to its billing. Who's it going to be? Bonnet or Elliott as this one comes down to a finish? Dick, can you pick anything out of the 2 cars? Any characteristics here?
No, not really. I'll tell you that they've got a groove right dead in the bottom of the racetrack. The only mistake that Elliott made was he slipped up to try to go around a slower car. If Neil does that, I got a pretty good idea that we're going to have a new boy winning the race. If Neil can hold down in the bottom, it doesn't look like that Elliott can do much with him. He can run up on him, he can catch him. He's as strong as Bonnet is, but he just can't seem to do anything with him while he's stuck like that on the bottom.
It is Bonnet in front. Elliott trying to find a place to pass. Looking to the inside. No room there. His rear view mirror filled with Bobby Allison. Here he goes up on the outside. That seems to be the pattern, Dick. Bonnet down low. Elliott trying the outside. I don't think he's got enough muscle to go around that way.
No, I don't think he's got enough to go around the outside, but he's going to have to try to make a move someplace, and that's and Bonnet is certainly not giving him room on the bottom. He is stuck on the apron, and there's just no room down there.
Neil Bonnet using all that wile and savvy from his years of stock car racing experience. Boy, I'll tell you what, he's got his hands full with this youngster, the 26-year-old Bill Elliott, who can almost feel the glory of his first ever Grand National victory. He's got to try to find a way around Neil, and Bonnet is just hugging that inside pole. They are both flat out, wide open, headed for a checkered flag here as the laps count down in this World 600. All that money on the line and all that glory and all that prestige, the pressure on these two drivers, absolutely intense. One tiny mistake and it all goes away, and you can stuff one of those babies in the wall under this kind of pressure pretty easily, Dick.
Well, you really can. It's look, they've got it hung out. Well, I'll tell you, they're doing everything they can, and they just got to be, just from looking at what's happened to Petty's and some of the other people, their tongues is hanging out, man. And Elliott's never been in this position. He's never had to hustle like this at the end. And Elliott broke away from Bobby. They're going on. I guess Bobby decided that, he's really not in the race, and caution wouldn't help him that much. He's going to back off and let him go ahead and race. And that's really good.
Well, they've worn out and run down the greatest field ever assembled for a World 600 stock car race. They've battled now for more than 590 miles of grueling hot action. These are the two survivors. It's come down to Neil Bonnet versus Bill Elliott to decide this thing. Bonnet, for the moment, slipping up high, looking at that oncoming traffic up ahead. He knows he's going to thread his way around that car. There he goes to the top. Elliott follows the line, and it was in a similar situation just a few laps back that Bonnet was able to put the pass on Elliott and take the lead. Now Elliott will hope to reverse the tables here and try to pull out a last lap victory in this World 600 battle. Boy, this one has really lived up to its billing, Dick. A great finish to a great race.
That is some kind of racing, I'll tell you. Charlotte Motor Speedway has got a good history of racing, and they treat the people right, and they're really, really doing it here.
This is the 23rd time that the stock car fraternity has gathered to this shootout. Neither of these men has ever won the race. One of the two of them is going to go home with a pot full of gold and a whole bundle of glory on this sunny, hot Charlotte, North Carolina afternoon. Bonnet leading Elliott. They are working lap traffic, overlapping one of the Petty cars as they work turn one. Every bit of savvy that these two guys have developed is now focused on that last lap. Where do you make the move? Where do you find the weakness? How do you get inside? How do you make the pass? It's a tough challenge for Bill Elliott.
I think Elliott now will try to just kind of sit there. He's got a couple laps to go. I think he's going to try to find himself some sort of weak point. If he can do it coming off a turn, going into a turn, he seems to be stronger right in the middle of the corner. And with one lap to go, he's going to have to do it. He's going to take a look on the inside.
White flag. He's got to do it now. Less than a lap to go of the 400 that they started this long, grueling crusade. Here goes Elliott trying the outside line down the backstretch. Nothing there. Tucks in behind Neil Bonnet. 3 and 4 will decide the issue. $450,000 on the line. Elliott looks to the inside, slips up on the outside. He'll try the long way around. They're off turn 4. They're coming to the checkered flag, and Neil Bonnet will win the World 600. Well, Dick, he held on. That's all you can say. He held the kid off.
Yeah, what a finish. I'll tell you, you go down 600 miles and you see a car a couple feet apart. That's racing, man.
They battled all afternoon long, 4.5 hours to come down to an interval of 2 car lengths at the finish. Bonnet wins it over Bill Elliott. Allison third, 1 lap down. We'll be back to talk to the winner in just a moment.
Why rent when you can?
Johnson will be down there to pick up his word just momentarily. And we see
Bill, did you run as hard as you could all day long?
We've been normally my racing style here, Charlotte, is just wide open and leading the race. The last couple of races here, I'd been leading the thing. Fell out once with a wreck and blew the motor up, and Leonard told me before the race if I'd watch that tack all day long and keep the motor in the car that we'd have a chance to win at the end. And I had to just sit there and grip my teeth all day and read that tack and try to keep the car together. And just like he said, I kept it together and they won the race. Bill Elliott, I've got to say, did one heck of a job and was quite a competitor all day long.
You had to really run hard the last several laps against Bill Elliott.
Yeah, my car was real tight. We had loaded the car up for the end of the race, and, you know, like I say, I tried not to run it hard all day, which is hard for me to do, just sit there and ride, and it really felt good.
Did you have any problems?
What's that?
Any problems all day?
Only problems I had was just a little bit warm.
What a finish.
That's the story here from Victory Lane. After running 600 miles, Neil Bonnet and Bill Elliott finished just a couple of car lengths apart. A victory for the Wood Brothers Ford. Back to you, Dave.
And so the World 600 is history, and it has lived up to all of its expectations. A classic finish to round out the package. And Dick Brooks, in terms of that finish, was there a single key for Neil Bonnet that won him this race?
Well, I think so. I think the fact of just making the Ford stay together. It's been close here in the past, and I think Neil said it when he said it, that Leonard had told him to make sure and watch the tack and don't destroy the car. Just keep it all together. And then they're just masters at setting up for the end of the races. They just, if they're there at the end, that crew's going to help you a lot. And it showed here in the last few laps when they had to run, and they had to run hard to run with Bill Elliott. They just it's hard to say enough about what he done, but they put him away, and they've done that many times in the past, and I was kind of glad to see it.
Another masterful performance by the Wood Brothers and their man, Neil Bonnet. A great drive for a young driver, Bill Elliott. That's the story of the World 600. For Charlie Harville and Dick Brooks, I'm Dave Despain.
From Charlotte Motor Speedway, you've just seen the 23rd Annual World 600 Stock Car Race, featuring the world's best NASCAR drivers. This program was brought to you by Pontiac. Now is a great time to test drive a new 1982 Pontiac at your Pontiac dealer, because now the excitement really begins. By Wrangler jeans, boots, and shirts for the whole family. Comfortable clothes for tough customers like Dale Earnhardt. By Autolite, who make the right spark plug for every car built today. And by Avis, where we try harder is not just a slogan, it's a commitment. Ms. Lou TV's 20th anniversary coverage of NASCAR Grand National Racing continues later this month with the Pocono Vanscoy 500. Check your local listing for station and time. This has been a Ms. Lou Television Network 20th Anniversary Sports Special.